Go ahead, take a seat. Join us for Off the Back Porch with Sandy and Boomer, where the conversations are real, the stories run deep, and absolutely nothing is off limits. From small town life and big time headlines to sports, politics, faith, family, and the everyday chaos of modern living, we talk about it all. No polished corporate nonsense, no fake outrage for clicks, just honest conversation served up with a little humor, a little wisdom, and the kind of storytelling that feels like late evenings from the back porch. Sometimes thoughtful, sometimes hilarious, sometimes completely off the rails, but always real. Off the Back Porch with Sandy and Boomer is brought to you in part by Glenn Mechanical, when you want the job done right the very first time. Jason Hardy State Farm. Like a good neighbor, Jason Hardy and State Farm are there. Country Village Sporting Goods. Everything you need to get to the woods, the water, or the camp. Cook's Body Shop. Bad things are going to happen, and when they do, look to Cook's. Davis Farms Country Market with true farm-to-table fresh selections. Cross Roofing and Sheet Metal. Put a solid future above your head. Harrison's Financial Management. Your future, our commitment. Murphy Arts District. For the latest info, go to eldomad.com. Larry's Pizza. Home of the Double Pizza Parade. The Rushing Law Firm. Get someone in your corner who fights for you. The Michael Fife Campaign for Sheriff of Union County. Mystic Creek Golf Club voted the #1 course in Arkansas. Smackover Motors. 50 years of keys, road trips, and memories at Smackover Motors. Timberlane Meat Market. Eat local, eat often. Southern Sass Image and Design. The official photographers for South Arkansas Now at southarkansasnow.com. And by ProMed Ambulance. World-class care and hometown values. Recorded live at the southarkansasnow.com studios in beautiful, historic downtown El Dorado, Arkansas. Kick your shoes off, grab a seat, and welcome to the Big Couch. Your host, Troy Boomer Barrios and B.A. Sandy Sanford.
Thank you, Johnny Dean, and welcome to another edition of Off the Back Porch with Sandy and Boomer, and sometimes Jax, and sometimes Ricky Roberts.
Yeah.
And sometimes, you know,
whoever else
knows, yeah.
And Jax is on the dials today.
Yeah, he's producing today.
Yeah.
He's on the ones and the twos.
He's been very authoritative when he's kind of directed us.
Yeah, trying to tell me what to do.
Yeah.
He hadn't learned that
he ain't the boss of you.
I don't take very well to being told what to do.
Well, like you and I, and most likely Kent Harrell, people that don't listen very well usually have their own business. Yeah. And I don't know, I spoke for you, Kent, and
that's correct.
Thanks for coming today.
Well, I just I have a hard time making other people money. I've fortunately been pretty successful everywhere I've ever been, and I just realized one day I'm making everybody else money.
Yeah.
How about making something
time to make some on your own?
Yeah, let's try that out.
The only way to make money is if you're making money while you're sleeping.
Yes.
If it all depends upon the sweat of your brow and your hands working at something, you can make a living and a good one, but to make real money, that's what my daddy said anyway.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Yeah. So, Kent, thank you for coming and being on the podcast with us this week.
Me.
And anyway, so we've got a full lineup of stuff. But Boomer, I thought we'd start off. Dear Sandy
and Boomers.
Yeah. Dear Sandy and Boomer, I appreciate that you at least pretend to keep the train on the tracks. Sandy is actively trying to derail it. Anytime I hear the words, that reminds me of this time, I know we're never going to go back to the subject at hand ever. Roger in El Dorado.
I thought that was me. Yes. I'm the one that's I'm seeing squirrels all the time.
Well, this time they said it was me.
It must have been you.
Yeah, this time it said it was me.
Now, what I have noticed is that we'll get to the end of the show, and we say, thank you, Kent, for being here today, and we just really appreciate it. And then we'll do 30 more minutes.
By the way,
we'll do 30 more minutes.
Yeah,
that's the preacher in you.
Yeah. Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah, because preachers do that.
Yeah, I'm about to close.
And then
Dear Sandy and Boomer, love the show, and you guys may have saved my marriage. because you two remind me that a relationship can survive even if the other person's opinions are absolutely wrong and terrible. Macy in Harmony Grove.
So she's not asking for advice at all.
No. Dear Sandy and Boomer, my wife asked me why I was laughing in the garage. I told her I was listening to two grown men professionally chase squirrels, Andy and Smackover.
Pretty good description.
Dear Sandy and Boomer, I came for the sports talk. I stayed because I needed to know what random rabbit hole y'all were going to disappear into next. Stephen in Bro Bridge.
Bridge?
Yeah.
Cajun country.
Stephen know how to explain himself a whole lot different than...
Yeah, exactly. Dear Sandy and Boomer, y'all are the only podcast where I can learn something, laugh, and question humanity all within just a few hours. Sherry in Parker's Chapel. Yeah, pretty much. Dear Sandy and Boomer, can we get a fact check button for Boomer, like a little buzzer every now and then? It doesn't have to electrocute him, but if it did, it would make it that much better. Shelby and Rustin. Shelby, it's not that Boomer's trying to mislead people factually. He just doesn't remember. That's what it boils down to. He just didn't remember.
Shelby's not 70.
No
way Shelby's 70.
No way Shelby's 70. Dear Sandy and Boomer, I was in my office laughing harder than I have in a long time. My assistant came around the corner and she asked if I was okay. I told her I was, and I pointed at the screen. She said, "Oh, I love those guys. It's like watching one guy drive the car while the other one keeps grabbing the wheel." Terry in El Dorado.
Where do they get these good descriptions from?
Google.
They're Googling it.
Yeah. Dear Sandy and Boomer, keep making the podcast. It's cheaper than therapy. And honestly, I'm having about the same success rate. So I quit my therapist, Randy in El Dorado. Randy, I would not recommend replacing your therapist with us.
No.
We're idiots.
Because our opinions are just that.
Yeah, and they're not based on fact or much of anything else. So
it's based on random thoughts usually.
Yeah. Dear Sandy and Boomer, first off, I love the podcast. It's become part of my weekly routine. I throw it on while I'm driving, mowing, or pretending to work, and y'all never disappoint me. Now, Sandy, we need to talk. Has anyone ever timed one of your stories? You're laughing too hard, Boomer.
I'm sorry.
I swear I asked my wife what time it was right before you started explaining something about high school football. By the time you got to the actual point, we celebrated our anniversary.
So today when I left, I said, "All right, babes." You know, I'm told Martha, I said, "I'll see you in a little bit." She goes, "Yeah, in about 5 hours."
Give or take.
Give or take a two.
You have a gift that very few people possess. You can answer a yes/no question with the complete history of the Louisiana Purchase. Boomer. Uh-oh. Hey, Sandy, how did you like the movie? Sandy. Well, it depends. See, back in 1987, I had a cousin named Ricky who drove a Dodge Dynasty. Now, Ricky wasn't really my cousin. He was married to my Aunt Brenda's roommate's sister. Anyway, Ricky loved popcorn. Speaking of popcorn, 30 minutes later, so yeah, it was pretty good. And the detours, good grief. Listening to one of your stories is like following a GPS that lost its satellite signal. You start in El Dorado, but you finish somewhere at a golf tournament in Texas.
We've done that.
Then we're talking about gas prices. Next thing I know, you've tied it back to smoked ribs, local radio in 1998, and a guy named Bubba that absolutely nobody but Sandy has ever met. Meanwhile, Boomer's sitting there looking like the kid trapped in the back seat asking, "Are we there yet?" I honestly think if someone interrupted you halfway through a story and asked you what your original point was, you couldn't tell them. Don't get me wrong, it's hilarious. Half the fun of you guys is wondering where you're going to land the plane, or are you just going to keep circling the airport till you run out of fuel?
Oh my gosh.
Keep doing what you're doing. The podcast wouldn't be the same without it. Just maybe every once in a while, use fewer words than a Supreme Court opinion to answer a simple question. Your loyal viewer and listener, Matt from Rising. P.S. I swear one time you started a story and I was in my 40s. And you finished when I was celebrating my 52nd birthday.
That's funny.
Matt, mind your business. How about that?
Yeah.
So,
and all those were compliments.
Yeah, they are. They are, you know. Yeah. Now, we've had a couple that weren't.
We've had some that weren't.
We've had
that
a few.
You couldn't read on air?
Oh, we read them.
Oh, really?
Oh, we read them.
We read them.
Yeah, hey, if you're going to send hate, we just... It's all clicks.
You know, my thing is you know, if it's just too off the rails, we just drink it, you know. Yeah. And we've had some of those, you know. But for example, we had one recently, Kent, you can appreciate that this woman sent us a message saying that, Boomer and I just wanted people to die, that we were giving out misinformation and we hoped that people would die, especially old people, because, we're evidently spring chickens. And, thank God for the COVID vaccine, for example, because she and her husband both got the vaccine, and within just 3 days they had COVID.
Yeah, don't get me started
And
on
then,
that.
and then the boosters came out just in time, because when they got the boosters, within 2 days they both had COVID again. Yeah. And I'm going to read that. Yeah. I'm going to read that on the air.
And I have friends that have died from the vaccine, so
You're somewhat opinionated. Then.
I'm extremely opinionated on that. I went to nursing school. I've worked in hospitals and different medical facilities, but I did not trust the vaccine because of things that I was reading, and I believe I was correct. I didn't take it. My family didn't take it. I had to, of all places, the ivermectin that I ordered, I had to order, and it came in from Ukraine. That's the only place I could find it, but that and it actually works. But
and so many people thought that ivermectin was only for animals. There's ivermectin.
That's right.
And the problem is it's real. The problem with the CDC is that ivermectin's extremely cheap.
Yeah. Of course, I lost my dad to COVID.
Yeah.
And so I'm a little salty about COVID in general.
And I see both sides of it. I mean, but it's you promise that this vaccine is all this. And,
take this, and it's going to everything.
And everything's going to be fine and perfect. And they knew that wasn't. They knew there were risks.
They knew it.
And they should have been honest, and they weren't. And that's the issue.
And then pundits were saying, let me say that if you don't take this and you get sick, you shouldn't be first in the hospital. Yeah. Only the people that have taken the vaccine should be first. Yeah. And you should be not sent into the hospital because you're
because you didn't take it.
You didn't take the vaccine.
You're an anti-vaxxer.
That's it. That's the term I was looking for.
It created a lot of division.
It did.
It did.
And successfully their point.
Again, my whole thing was you shut down schools, churches, every small mom and pop business in America. You left Walmart, liquor stores, and strip clubs open.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Target and Costco.
Yeah. Big box stores. That's correct.
Now, granted, I don't know what we would have done if we couldn't go get those little bit of groceries.
You could go to the grocery store, but you had to follow those arrows.
Those arrows, that's right. And you had to stand on those circles. And
if you'd go against the arrow, there'd be some lady she'd turn around and she'd turn around and wouldn't pass you.
But the thing was they knew early on, which we now know is fact, that this was made in a lab.
That's right.
They tried telling us it was made from bat soup in a wet market in China.
Labs we were funding.
Yes.
Our country was funding.
And the person we put in charge of all of it, now we know, was just a glory whore.
That's right.
He just wanted more glory and fame for himself.
That's right.
I think I said it last week. I'm not the judge, and I'm not. I don't have the final determination over the souls of people, but I do believe a person can be given over to a reprobate mind, and I think that's where Anthony Fauci is. And if so, he'll bust hell wide open.
Yeah, that's right.
And I know I shouldn't be happy about that, but I'm not sad.
Yeah. You know what I found out, and y'all may have known this already, that Obama was the one that said we don't need to fund gain of function research. So what they did was change the definition of gain of function. The new definition was it's only gain of function if you knew what the gain of the function was, the outcome. That's gain of function. So if you didn't know the outcome, that's not gain of function research. So that's a Bill Clinton thing. That's depending on their definition of is.
It's I think the thing that I still. That's still saying it was almost accidental. It wasn't. To me, there was nothing accidental. No. Because if you go back and you look at Anthony Fauci's HIV medicine that he made that was supposed to combat AIDS, right? And it had 2 protein spikes in it. And those protein spikes, every chemist and scientist in the world will tell you those cannot occur naturally. Those have to be manufactured that way. And the COVID vaccine had those same 2 protein spikes.
And the virus itself was patented 2003. It was patented and it was described as a bioweapon.
Exactly.
So,
and none of this was accidental.
No.
Look.
Well, yeah, it's somewhat conspiratorial because the World Economic Forum did a group meeting with all the heads of state and different industry to kind of game plan a coronavirus, and they did that in 2019, and then 2020 is when this happened. So
yeah,
whether it's all tied together or not, I don't know. But
if it's not, I heard a choir singing on the other side of the wall. That doesn't mean, that doesn't
Exactly.
mean they're having a party, but there's something going
There's
on.
something. That's right.
I still, and again, get me the
They had a
10-4.
choir at the CDC?
Boomer. See, that's when we need a buzzer right there.
That's one of those squirrels running across the floor.
That's the time we need the one that gives just a little shock.
That's a great analogy, but I've just never heard it. And I just thank you, Sandy.
But I think when they looked at the economy in 2019, and I think it was Republicans and Democrats got in a room and said, okay, look, we can't beat the guy. Have y'all seen this economy? Have y'all seen the number of people working? Have y'all seen what's going on? It is white hot. It's time for plan B.
All this started, a week or two after the last impeachment failed?
Mm-hmm.
That's when it started.
There's too much coincidental evidence for it not to be the case.
That's right.
And there's too much smoke for there not to be a fire.
That's right.
And that was the thing that for me anyway, that I would just watch and say, the other thing is we have a polio vaccine. What happened to polio? It was eradicated.
Yeah.
Right. Measles vaccine. What happens? Measles are eradicated. We have a COVID vaccine. What happens? More people got COVID.
Yeah.
So it's not a vaccine.
That's the difference between an inoculation and
right.
And a maybe vaccine.
Yes. Exactly. Exactly. So,
but the downside is worldwide they've increased distrust in hospitals and doctors and the medical establishment, maybe forever.
Well, at least for two or three
generations.
generations.
Yeah.
So if some real emergency happens, people may not listen to them.
There won't. I can promise you, at least in the United States of America, you will not shut our churches and schools down again.
Right.
You
regardless,
won't.
Yeah.
It can be a full-on zombie apocalypse.
That's right.
And them kids are going to school.
That's right.
And we're going to church.
And that's the psychological effect on a generation of kids that are in elementary and high school.
What they've done to that generation is unforgivable.
It is.
Because we now have, and my 18-year-old is part of it. We have a group of kids that during those 3 or 4 years where they really develop who they are and their identity and their personalities, they were alone at home.
That's right.
And they were locked in their homes, and they cannot carry on a conversation with one another.
And the ones, the kids that got behind in school the ones that'll never catch up. I mean, you've really destroyed them.
Well, what a better way to have them depend on the government, right?
Yeah, but it's just it's a domino effect. All these things, this collateral damage, and they didn't care about any of that.
Right. That was beside the point.
Yeah.
And if it was, I'm not sure that wasn't part of the plan too, though.
Yeah.
And I'm just saying, you cannot have this worldwide cabal-like plan without thinking of every single possibility. And, we're going to have a whole group of people who cannot socially interact with each other. They have no ability. Again, my daughter and her boyfriend can be sitting beside each other and never say a word, but they can snap each other for 3 solid hours.
Right.
They can Snapchat each other. And I don't know. There are people today who I don't want to go back to working in an office. I like working from home.
The number of people that have never gone back to church.
Yes.
They just rather watch it on TV or watch it on their iPad.
Or YouTube or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, real quick, let me tell you about this. Have y'all tried this yet?
What is it?
Moran's Tomato Relish.
No, I haven't.
Cool.
Smackover, Arkansas.
Oh, is it made right here?
Yep, made right here. Says the people's choice. Now, I haven't tried it yet, but when I picked this jar up yesterday at Timberlane Meat Market, there was a guy standing there who said, "Oh, man, have you tried that?" I said, "No." He said, "You're going to love it."
Wow.
He said, "It's the best stuff ever."
And you just put it on whatever.
Yeah, I mean, anything tomato relish could go on.
Yeah.
And
your beans, your peas.
peas, hot dogs. Yeah. I love put tomato relish on a salad.
Oh, yeah.
And it gives, that tang. But again, this comes straight from Timberlane Meat Market, and they are 101 East Main in El Dorado at their new location. So check it out. Moran's Tomato Relish, again, made right in Smackover, Arkansas. And of course, at Timberlane Meat Market, they also have the freshest and best cuts of meat. And, you can do something to a piece of meat to get it, to get it there. But man, when you start off with great meat, it makes all the difference in the world.
Yeah, just a little fire and a little bit of seasoning.
Yeah.
We ate lunch there yesterday. It was all fabulous.
Isn't it phenomenal?
It's just fabulous. Yeah.
It is. And somebody came in the office earlier and we were talking about, and they were like, man, it's like I could eat there every day. And
that's them calling?
I don't know who
Timberlane's calling. I came home the other night, smell of seafood, stuffed flounder.
Nice.
Martha had gotten from Timberlane. I like that. Boy, that's good.
Yeah. Better check my phone. And I didn't get a message or an invite or anything.
She bought 2.
Were they out after that? They just had 2? Is that what it was?
We would invite you if we'd had like 8 because you got 6 kids, but we only had 2. And we're on a fixed income. I tell people on fixed income, I say that's good because mine's broken.
Yeah.
My income's broken.
My income is not fixed at all.
It is not fixed. I wish someone would fix it.
Yeah. I'm inviting it. We've had this company 20 months, and I'm still, the day's coming. I'm going to be able to pay me.
Your paycheck?
I'm going to pay me one day.
My ex-wife used to say, well, what about that Barry House money? I said, babe, you believing in something that just ain't so. Where's all that Barry House money?
Yeah. With the tooth fairy on a unicorn.
It's underneath my pillow.
Let's take a break. How about
all
that?
Right.
We're going to take a break. We'll be back with more of Off the Back Porch right after this.
Leadership matters, and El Dorado is moving forward. Under Mayor Paul Choate, we rebuilt streets and our wastewater plant without raising taxes. We strengthened public safety, upgraded parks, expanded internet access. New businesses are investing here. Jet service to Dallas is connecting us to what's next. Safer streets, real progress, a city working together.
I'm Paul Choate. Together we've made progress, and together we can keep making El Dorado the best it can be.
Experience, courage, common sense, all of these are traits we want in any elected position, but especially in the man we will pick as our next sheriff. Michael Fife hasn't just been in law enforcement for 30 plus years. He's the one who answers the call in the middle of the night, putting himself last and Union County first, looking folks in the eye, doing what's right, standing up for all of us. Vote for Michael Fife for Union County Sheriff.
If you born and raised in Arkansas, make some noise right now. You got to place they've built right here in your town.
Hey, Caitlin.
Hey.
You and me, we see everything. You on the court, me from up here.
You are 10 feet tall.
Runs in my family. Hey, you know who else sees everything?
State Farm.
Yeah, they look at everything to make sure you get coverage that fits your life and budget. I also see the camera guy wore his nifty vest again.
It's nice, huh?
Hey, you got any lip balm in there? I'm trapping like crazy.
Coverage that fits your life and budget. State Farm.
For 50 years, one name has kept South Arkansas rolling strong, Smackover Motors. From brand new rides to dependable pre-owned vehicles and hard-working fleets, Smackover Motors has helped generations find the perfect fit for the road ahead. And long after the sale, their expert service department keeps you moving with trusted care, honest work, and hometown service you can count on. 50 years of keys, miles, handshakes, and community. Smackover Motors, driven by service, powered by trust since 1976. Hey, welcome back for more of Off the Back Porch with Sandy and Boomer. Man, I got to take me something about getting my glasses clean.
You know, they got those little things you spray on there, and then there's little claws.
My real friend, Rodney Wilson, he used to bring me some of that stuff to put on my glasses.
Did he bring you guitar strings?
No,
Okay.
He never did.
All right,
he never did.
I did.
Yeah, and then you broke my guitar.
Then I broke it. Yeah, but I'll fix it.
I know you will.
Yeah, I'll try.
Yeah.
Hey, that Gorilla stuff works.
Yeah, that'd be good.
We'll see.
Yeah, if not, let me know.
I don't know where we're going to get those. That's kind of like hen's teeth, like I said before.
We may have to go buy old cheap $57 guitar at a pawn shop to get,
or just go in there with some pliers. Hey,
just take one. You know. So, Kent Harrell's our special guest this week, and Kent, I had invited him, and he's like, "What do you want me for?" And I was like, "Well, no reason. I mean, I couldn't find anybody else." No.
Last minute.
I told him, I said, well, you're the head of the Union County Republican Party, and I thought it would be good to get you to come in and talk about some of your candidates. And plus, if your reputation gets too good, you're liable to get big-headed. So you come on this show, and it'll drop your reputation. Mm-hmm. Your poll numbers are going to bottom out after this thing posts. And no, thank you for coming. We do welcome. Appreciate it. And,
thank you for inviting me.
And, you know, it's funny. I remember years ago in the mid 90s, where I grew up at in East Texas, we had one Republican precinct in the entire county. If you wanted to vote in the Republican primary, which there was never a reason to, because there were no contested races, but if you wanted to vote in the Republican primary, you had to drive from whatever other part of the county to the county seat and vote in that one primary.
Right.
And now, I mean, you know, there's no such thing as a Democrat in East Texas anymore. Elected. You know, and then it's that way to a great extent in Arkansas as well. That when I moved here, in 2002, I got here in September, which is the kind of the unofficial kickoff of election season anyway. And I was standing. The Republican Party headquarters were down here where golfing games used to be. And I walked in and introduced myself. I was there to meet with a candidate who was buying some ads from us. And I remember Jay Dickey was running for his seat back in Congress. He'd gotten beaten by Mike Ross. And he comes walking in, and man, he looked like somebody just whipped him before he walked in the door. I mean, just dragging in. And somebody said, "What's the matter, Congressman?" He said, "NRA just called. They're endorsing Ross."
Oh, man.
And that's a death knell.
Yeah,
you know,
it is.
That's a death knell in South Arkansas. If the NRA calls you and says, "Yeah, we're going to stick with this guy," and because they had been Jay Dickey people up to that point. And but again, Mike Ross, who will be our guest here in a couple of weeks, you know, he had no problem voting with the NRA.
Right.
You know, he was pro Second Amendment, pro life.
Can you do that as a Democrat anymore?
No, you cannot. And that is part of the reason, you know, when y'all had Tom Cotton here last year, and Tom and I sat down, he gave us 15 minutes, I think. And I was visiting with him, and I asked him then, I said, you know, are there any blue dogs left? And he said, not in Congress, not in Washington, D.C. there aren't. And, you know, I hate to see any party taken over by the fringe of the party, but that is sure what has happened on that side. Well, I think it's somewhat happening on the right, but that sure happened on the left. I mean, that woke agenda, hey, keep doing it. Well, because you're going to keep getting your butt handed to you in elections that matter.
It's not just woke. They're literally communists.
Yeah, they're flat out just saying, you know,
they want to seize the means of production and seize all private property. So.
Yeah. You know, Boomer and I were talking one day. I said, and when did Bill Maher and I end up on the same side of the table?
Exactly.
And he said, yeah, he's changed. I said, no, actually, he hasn't.
Yeah.
He hasn't changed.
Yeah, the calculus has changed.
You know, it's I mean, when he told J.D. Vance, you know, my vote could be up for grabs, I was like, What?
He's more of a classical liberal.
He is a classic liberal, which I have always said that a true conservative is a liberal at heart.
That's right.
Because they are a classic conservative is a live and let live person who, if you want to be gay, be gay.
You do you, boo.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's how they.
And
but if you want to teach my 5-year-old,
right, but that's not neoclassic liberalism
that's right.
either. Again, that's the woke agenda.
That's right.
And it goes there's a more, and we could get really deep on that, but there's a more diabolical scheme than just teaching your 5-year-old about the trans movement.
It's the God of this world that's driving that
100%. And it's a matter of we can get, we can't outlaw guns. They've tried to outlaw guns since guns have been around, right? They couldn't do it. So what did they finally do? Hey, someone smartened up and they said, we'll just make bullets so expensive you can't afford them. And they did. Yeah. And they say, okay, we can't change the hearts and minds of grown Americans. So we'll just start out when they're this old. And we'll just, Heather has 2 mommies and which by the way cost Ann Richards the governorship of Texas. She was a wildly popular governor.
That's right.
I mean, she, and that's what people have to remember. Go back to 1988 when she gave the keynote address at the Democratic National Convention. The whole, poor George, he was born with a silver foot in his mouth. And it was a great line, by the way.
I forgot about that.
I just got through listening to the audio book that George W. Bush wrote about his dad called 41, A Portrait of My Father. And he said, even I had to chuckle at that line when she said it. He was like, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
So
that's almost there you go again.
Yeah, exactly. But she was wildly popular in the state until her daughter got in charge of the education department, and her daughter was a militant lesbian and was just trying to push this agenda. And I don't know if you know this about Texans or not, but they're kind of ornery anyway. And when you tell them, this is what you're gonna do, their response is, hold my beer and watch this.
Yeah, whether they want to do that or not, they're not gonna.
They're not gonna.
Yeah.
Even if they, you're right. Even if they wanted to, now that you say we have to.
Now that you say we have to, no, that ain't gonna happen.
And Boomer used to tell me all the time. He said, "Hey, you're not in Texas anymore, son. You got to drop that. You got, sometimes you're going to be told what to do.
This ain't Texas."
So, but she was wildly popular, and then that wasn't the single issue. Concealed carry was another one. She just fell on the wrong side of concealed carry, and then George W. Bush. I mean, he wasn't a great campaigner. I mean, I worked for him twice, and I can just tell you, he was the nerdiest guy in just about every room unless Karl Rove was there. And Rove, man, that guy's like trying to talk to Bill Gates. He's just, he starts speaking in binary code.
He's smart.
He's very
extremely smart.
And he's got the little Etch-a-Sketch. He still uses it. I saw him on Fox the other day.
Yeah. Oh, is he now on Fox? Because forever he was on MSNBC.
He was on Fox again.
Okay, well, good for Karl. I actually worked for Karl, is who I worked for. And I remember in 2004 when they said that the race between Bush and Kerry would come down to precinct by street in Ohio. I said, then it's over. You can't beat Karl Rove in a precinct by precinct race.
Right.
You have to beat Karl Rove in an at-large overall race. You can never ever beat him in a precinct because he knows
every county.
He knows every county. Yeah. He knows every street. He can just about tell you with a couple of days of forewarning. You could just about give him an address and he can tell you how many registered voters are in that house.
Right.
The
Wow.
last time they voted. Because one of the things that we would do is we would tell our people, our volunteers and all who were out, say, if you come across our opponent's sign, write down that address. Signs can't vote. But it gives us
a reflection.
Yeah, it gives us some ideas. And Karl could sit down with a legal pad full of all these addresses. And he'd say, there's no registered voters there. And, and I'm over here double checking. He's right. Well, they hadn't voted since 1980,
And today you might have 100 registered voters in that address.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. But that's Louisiana.
Well, that's California, and that's places like that.
Hey, one of the NBC new broadcasters was talking today and talking about the vote in Michigan, and he said He's from California. He said, "What a novelty that you can actually have an election and know the outcome next day." I said, MSNBC was dogging California.
So have they announced? Did El Sayed?
Sayed got the
and
vote.
that's great for. I mean, it's great for Republicans. You get to run against communists.
You know, and who was, I think it was it Bernie or AOC? One of them was like, no one has said we're communists. No, what you said was from each according to his means to each according to his needs.
Yeah.
That's Karl Marx.
Yeah, they're quoting Marx.
And what was the name of that book again? The Communist Manifesto.
Yeah,
you know,
Mein Kampf.
No, that was Hitler.
Okay, same guy.
It's socialism, communism.
Yeah.
Well, to me, there's a huge difference in socialism and communism. Socialism, I believe, at its core, wants to do good things. Communism says we're going to do them, or you're going to die.
Waters had a guy on the street out asking people in New York, about Mondami and all that, and they said, "Well, it's just time for a change. This is something new." I went, "New?
No, it's not.
Gosh, it's the oldest.
It's new to them."
Yeah.
Well, again, I stay. There's a whole generation, two Gen Z and millennials who believe that the only reason socialism hasn't worked is because the right people haven't tried it yet, and that's asinine.
Then they'll point to the Slavic countries that they have a lot of socialized things, but they still have a free economy.
Well, they have a lot of socialized things, but okay, that's fine. I saw where local attorney reposted a Bernie Sanders tweet yesterday, and it was countries that have free health care, and it had all these flags, countries that don't, and it was only had one, and it was ours. And I was like, okay, well, pick which one of those countries do you want to go have surgery in?
Yeah, because
don't worry, I'll wait.
They may have free health care, but it may not be available. So it's free, but it may take you a year.
It may be 2029 before you can get that appendix out.
You're dead before you can get it. So
but it's free.
Free is irrelevant.
Yeah, because when you need surgery, you need it.
That's why Canada always comes. They try to come here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But sure, I mean, get it while you can. I guess
Cuba's supposed to have a great healthcare system.
I bet they do if they could keep the power on.
Exactly.
But that's a whole nother thing. But it's just the evil imperialists and colonizers in America.
Yeah, the colonizers
that are keeping the power off in Cuba because we won't just give them free oil.
That's right.
And so I mean, I don't know. I don't understand how you can look at history and come away with any other conclusion other than socialism just doesn't work.
They're not looking at history. They're refusing to see history.
Well, socialism denies human behavior.
Yes, it does.
You act in your self-interest, and if there's no benefit, then
why would you?
Then why would you try to do anything? Thus, things won't exist.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
And, here's a great litmus test. How many corporations have left New York State since Mom Donnie has been inaugurated? Last number I saw was 57. Yeah. And I'm not talking about mom and pop businesses. Yeah. I'm talking about Fortune 100, Fortune 200, 300 businesses that have left. And producer Jax is raising his hand. What's up?
Some pigs are more equal than other pigs.
Yes, Animal Farm. Great. So do either one of y'all have Angel Network?
I get it.
I don't.
I'm
familiar with it
through my little box. I get it.
Yeah, your Roku.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Well, it's okay.
Yeah, but that. Yeah,
that thing.
Yeah. So we do, and there's an animated version of Animal Farm.
Yeah.
And I made the kids sit down and watch it the other day, and they thought it was great. They didn't get it. They didn't understand.
Kids don't get it.
No, but if you can start planting that seed now, and honest to goodness, Animal Farm was the first time I ever read a book in my life that I couldn't wait to read. I mean, as I was reading it, I couldn't put it down. That was the first time in my entire life I ever picked up a book that I couldn't wait to put down. Before that, Tales of a Fourth Grade Nothing, but I didn't read it. Our teacher read it to us every day in class.
Right.
But Animal Farm. And if you don't know the story of Animal Farm, just read it. It's because you look at it and it just immediately you're like, oh, this isn't going to work, or at least I would hope people would see it that way. But why would I go out and work and risk my family's future and livelihood just so that someone who will not, but is capable of working, why would I do that?
And they're going to get the benefit.
So they can get the benefit of it. That doesn't make sense. And, I love the one where someone was saying, well, Jesus said we should, visit the widows and the orphans and feed the hungry and give the homeless homes. And yes, the church should.
The churches are supposed to do that.
Yeah, but not at the point of a sword. He wasn't saying the Romans need to do this. He said the church needs to do this.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
the church, which is also the individual.
Exactly.
It's different than the government.
You are the church.
And that's where people confuse scripture related to immigration. The government is one thing. The government wields the sword, and that's different than the individual.
Yes.
So how I'm supposed to treat someone versus the laws of the government are two different things.
Render unto Caesar that which is Caesar's.
That's right.
Well, like Alfalfa said to Spanky says, well, if we let anybody in, then it's not a club. Hey, there's a lady that they interviewed, and she's running for mayor of something, and I don't recall what she said, that Thanksgiving is very, to some communities, is a very hurtful.
Yes.
That we should have done away with Thanksgiving a long time ago.
That's the Democrat nominee for governor of Wisconsin.
That's it. That's her.
That's her.
That's her.
Yeah.
All of them.
Like I said, that's great for the Republicans.
Yeah.
Let's attack most people's favorite holiday
It
of the
is
year.
the most popular holiday in the country.
If you ask a majority of Americans, and I don't remember the number now, but it was high
bigger
50s.
than Christmas.
Yeah,
it is bigger than Christmas.
It was high 50%. Their favorite holiday of the year was Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
And to me, Christmas is stressful, especially when you have blended families and things like that.
Yeah.
But Thanksgiving doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
And it just. Anyway, long story short, pick the favorite holiday of Americans and let's beat that up. I remember one time I told Boomer I was watching, and I think it was Hannity was doing an interview with this guy, and he's like, and this guy was going off on Thanksgiving, and he was like, nowhere else in the world do they celebrate it. And Hannity's like, because it's an American. They don't celebrate the 4th of July either.
Exactly.
And it's an American holiday, and. Then they were interviewing and the Hannity said something about this guy. He said, black, and he was like African American, and Hannity's like, no, and he's like, Sean, I just don't understand why you refuse to use the term. He said, I don't refuse to use the term. He's from Canada.
Yeah.
And he said, well, what? That doesn't mean he can't be African American. Actually, by definition, it does.
Yes, he could be African Canadian.
Yes. Exactly. That's like saying someone in Spain is Mexican American.
Yeah.
Sorry, no. No, sorry, they're not. But
Spain's loving immigration right now.
Hey, man, all of Europe. And I don't know if you saw the British guy who went to the House of Commons and pulled out the photo, the cartoon of Muhammad, and they lost their ever-loving mind. And he was like, yeah. And he just let him go. And he's like, and now y'all want to tell me that we have no problem with free speech in the UK?
Yeah. Until you do that.
Yeah.
I made sure when I was in England last year that I didn't post on Facebook because I was scared to, if I post the wrong thing or share the wrong thing.
Oh, yeah, they'll lock you up.
They're liable to arrest me.
Yeah. Well, I think that's one reason that and I don't remember, so-and-so and Jace, they're two British guys.
Yeah.
They're all the time over here. They're all the time in America. I think this last set of videos.
Earlier this year, they were in Arkansas.
Yeah, they were in Arkansas. And
they've been down in Louisiana.
They've been down in Louisiana. And I think they were in Michigan, Minnesota.
They were in Michigan last week.
Yeah. So, and they're so fun to watch. Those guys, when they went to Louisiana and they were down there like learning how to eat gumbo and crawfish, and
when they were in deep South Louisiana, oh man!
And then of course when they went to Texas and they were going to eat barbecue, and he had that beef rib, and he pulls out a knife, and the owner of that place went over and slapped it out of his hand. Put that down.
You got to pick that up, boy.
You gonna get beat up in here. Y'all don't know what they're gonna do to me. Yeah, you don't do that. Don't do it. But. Yeah, those guys, man, they're a lot of fun to watch. But of course, I love the I love the whole fact that everyone from Europe and across Asia coming to America for the World Cup, and they were like, "What in the we've been
hearing?"
They just talked about how all they'd ever heard was Americans are so mean, and mean to other people and mean to their own people and stingy, and that everything over here is full of pollution and drugs and waste. And there's this one guy, he's walking around a neighborhood in Dallas. Now granted, he's not over in Grapevine. He's walking around somewhere pretty nice, and he's like, but look at this, and he's like, these things look like castles, and he said, I've talked to 3 people already, and they're like, hey, how are you? And he said, I even got a howdy. But there's a soccer player from Sweden, or one of those Slavic countries, and he said, oh, I can't leave Texas without a pair of boots and a hat, So he went in and he got him like a 10X Beaver, Resistol or a Stetson hat, and got him a pair of like full quill ostrich boots, and he did it up right. Of course, they're going to treat you nice. You're there dropping $1,200, $1,400 on a pair of full quill ostrich. Yeah, they're going to be real nice to you. But yeah, and again, that premium 10X Beaver felt hat, you're dropping $700-800.
The only complaint that I heard from any of them was how hot it is.
Yeah, it was hot. And then they drank Boston out of beer. When in your lifetime have you ever thought you would hear the words Boston is out of beer?
Yeah.
I mean, Boston is so famous for their beer that they did a show called Cheers.
Yeah.
It's about a bar in Boston.
In Norm.
Yeah.
I've been to the bar.
Yeah,
it's a neat place.
That's what everybody who's ever been. They tell me, they say it's really cool.
Yeah.
And let's talk about some of your candidates that you have on the ballot. Start at the top. You have a county judge. County judge is on the ballot, who changed parties a few years ago.
That's correct.
And but you've got a real race going on in the sheriff's race, and Michael Fife running as a Republican
against Eric Meadows.
Yeah, and Eric's running as a Democrat, and I think that's going to be a good race. We've got on the city side, we got a mayoral race. Do we have any other countywide offices that there's an opponent? I don't think. I can't. I mean, I know
not
for circuit clerk. There's not
that I know of, because we tend to fund candidates that have opponents, and there's 3 city council people that have opponents, the mayor and the sheriff. So
yeah,
I don't believe so.
Yeah. So, yeah, of course, like I said, you're going to have a mayor's race, which got a little more interesting in the last couple of days because an independent has now, and actually it was him that texted me a while ago telling me that I
saw his Facebook post a couple days ago.
He said he turned in his signatures and he is officially on the ballot.
Okay.
So.
Who is it?
Byron Miller.
Okay.
Is his name. And
he's a younger gentleman.
Yeah, he's a younger guy. So. And I asked him straight out. I said, "What do you say to people when they say, you're going to split the black vote and make it easier for Paul?" And he's like, "Andre can feel free to drop out if he wants to." I mean, that was pretty much his answer. Yeah. That wasn't quote for quote, but so that race has just gotten a little more interesting. Yes, you have Ward 2 with an open seat. You have Lance Greer running. Veronica Greer is running. And then there's another race in Ward 2, and I'm sorry I don't recall the name of the Democrat that's running for Judy Ward's
against Judy.
Judy.
I'm not sure who the Democrat is either.
Yeah, there is an opponent, but I don't recall her name. Of course, then you have in Ward 1, you've got Jill Wineski, who held off a primary challenge, and then I guess Janice Hicks is still on the ballot.
Yeah, as an independent. That's correct.
And then Laquita Rainey is running as a Democrat.
That's correct.
And
you're right what you said about, because I moved here in 2000 and the county's changed tremendously, because when I moved here, you almost couldn't get elected if you weren't a Democrat, and now it's just the opposite.
But what's funny? Mike Ross told me one time, he said, "I've never won Union County." I've never
Wow.
won Union County.
Wow.
And that surprised me.
Yeah.
But he was right. I went back and I've looked, and he never did. I got appointed. Governor Hutchinson had appointed me to a state commission, and you have to fill out this form. And I was meeting with some of his officials in Little Rock, and they said, "You've given a lot of money to Democrats." I said, "I've given a lot of money to Mike Ross." I said, let's be very clear. I've given a lot of money to there's a few Democrats I've given money to, but again, at the time, there were no Republicans really to speak of in South Arkansas. But I said, I gave a lot of money to Mike Ross. And I said, well, Ross was Ace's opponent. And I was like, I know. And you gave Ross money when he ran for governor. I said, I sure did. And I said, because to me, he was the last best hope South Arkansas had.
Right.
Because before we start letting Northwest Arkansas handpick the governor themselves, I felt like we had to have one more chance to have someone from South Arkansas, from right over Prescott, someone who would have, because whether, a lot of politicians will tell you, oh, no, that doesn't exist. There is a demarcation line. It's called I-30.
Yeah.
Right.
And anything north and west of it gets a lot of attention. Anything south and east of it gets very little.
And you're correct.
And so that was that.
And it's only going to get worse because
Northwest Arkansas is just growing. Yeah. And and that's where we miss those stalwarts of the Bill Nolans, the Edwin Aldersons, Knox White, Eamon Mahoney and Jody Mahoney. Again, most of those people I just mentioned would call themselves Democrats, but their number one loyalty wasn't to a party. It was to South Arkansas.
Right.
And they could pick the phone up and make things happen. Yeah. In 2002, we had a meeting above Laredo Grill. It wasn't called Laredo Grill then. I don't remember what it was called, but I had a meeting above Laredo Grill. Those guys picked the phone up and called John Breaux, the senator from Louisiana, and he comes to El Dorado because they called and asked him to. That just doesn't happen.
Right.
John Breaux, incidentally, who, so conservative that he was one of the final three that George W. Bush was going to pick for his VP. And,
I remember that.
Could you have seen John Breaux as VP? Because the first time they smarted off to him, he'd be like, oh, really? Okay.
I'm fixing to call the president.
Let's see how this works.
Let's see how this works for y'all.
Yeah. I love John Breaux, man. I had to hire him. I had to testify before Congress. And so I had to hire him and Trent Lott, their firm. And, Trent's telling me, we got to find a way to get, we're going to give a little here, we're going to give a little there. And John Breaux said, the hell we are. No, we're not. He said, here's what we're going to do. And he laid out the plan. I was like, yes, sir. But it was funny. He walked in that room and he walked past a dozen people and come over and hug my neck. Sandy, how the hell are you? I said, I'm fine, Senator. And he looked at somebody that was with him. He said, should have seen this kid. He was a little roly-poly thing. Said he was jumping off the pier out on my pond. I said, boy, there's alligators in that pond. And I don't recall ever jumping off the pier. I do recall being at his house. I don't recall ever jumping off the pier into his pond. So he may have me mixed up with some other roly-poly little kid. But there's alligators in that pond. But John Breaux's a great guy, man. He's, he outside of Edwin Edwards had some of the best one-liners to ever come out of a politician, And they said, you sold your vote to Ronald Reagan? He said, no, my vote's never for sale, but it is for rent.
Because I may change my mind.
Yeah. I told you earlier I listened to the book 41 about George H.W. Bush that was written by George W. Well, now I'm listening to Rawhide Down. And it's a recount of like the 3 days leading up to and the day of the attempted assassination on Reagan. And man, it's good. I don't think, I know for a fact we didn't know until recently how close Reagan came to dying.
That's correct.
That he was literally at death's door. But say what you want to about he was just an actor, bedtime for Bonzo, and you can say all they want to say. That man got shot and walked himself into the hospital. Would not allow them to carry him in.
Yeah.
Because he said the American people need to see their president.
He was a man.
He was a man.
He was a man.
Exactly. And that's
And his wife wasn't.
now see,
They knew the difference.
you and Kevin
back then.
Bonner. How do you like being on that side of the table, Boomer? Y'all need to stop.
And that's the difference between the parties now. A lot of the Democrats don't know what a woman is, and
Yeah, they have a hard time figuring it out.
and
You know,
it's confusing for them.
I'm still baffled. We had this discussion a month ago here on this podcast. I'm still baffled as to why all of a sudden Sophie Cunningham is a social pariah because she had the audacity to say men should not be playing in women's sports. By the way, Sophie Cunningham is no darling of the right. Okay, she's never been accused of being MAGA.
Yeah.
Okay, I hate she plays for the other team because that's a waste. That's a beautiful woman, but whatever, you do you, sister. But yeah,
Plays for the other team, yeah.
and so you know,
So on the sports show this morning, there's a guy that's playing in the women's league in Europe and tearing them up.
well, of course he is.
And so
He's 6'9". Have you seen his arms?
So they're hoping that somebody will recruit him to come play in the end.
Did y'all hear Clay Travis wants to start a league in Nashville?
Yes.
And
Yes.
it's going to be, he wants it to be all transgender,
Yes,
and he's going to call it the Nashville Balls.
yes, I heard him say that.
And of course, they won't lose. They wouldn't lose a game.
No.
They would win every game.
They would win every
Yeah.
game. And so, who was the guy that said he's said it before, and he upped it from 1 million?
It's Clay Travis.
Is that Clay Travis? Same guy.
Yeah, yeah.
He's going to give $10 million.
$10 million
Yeah.
if they would play the high school state championship of his choice boys high school team.
Yeah.
And if they won, he'd give the WNBA $10 million.
It wouldn't matter. It wouldn't be a game.
It would not even be close.
No, it would not be close.
And that's why boys should not be playing in women's sports.
Exactly.
You know,
But and we've said that earlier. You do you, boo. If you want to trans, go trans.
go trans. It's up to you. That's
up-
between you and your
can't-
God.
You just can't play.
But you cannot then go play women's sports.
No. Or run in track.
Well, they want to rewrite the
Well, that's a
rules.
sport,
They
but-
want to rewrite
You're
the
right.
rules
Thank
of
you.
society.
I didn't know, but thank you.
Yes.
You know, norms that have always been this
Yeah.
way.
Well, for example, I read this to Boomer a couple weeks ago. Micro looting is a thing to where it's not stealing if it's just something minimal, and as long as the feeling of better that you have is greater than the feeling of guilt, then it's okay.
Yeah.
As long as you feel good about stealing it,
That's insane.
it's okay.
Yeah.
And they were suggesting, you get 10 lemons at the big box store, but when you put it up on that self checkout, you just tell it you have 9. And that's, you're digging into the man just a little bit there. And someone said, well, it's still stealing. And they said, we only call it stealing because we haven't normalized it. If we would just normalize micro looting, it would be okay. And I'm like, yeah, well, it used to be normalized to enslave people.
That's right.
And we somehow figured out that that's not okay. It used to be okay to kill children in the womb. And thankfully, most Americans believe that's not okay. Yes, society changes, but it should change for the better. We used to smoke in hospitals. Okay. I mean,
The patients did.
yes.
So,
while hooked on oxygen.
So when I went to nursing school, graduated from Baptist, and we did clinicals at different VA and other hospitals. Back then, people still smoked in the hospitals, and I hated it. And then, of course, the VA, all those World War II veterans, all of them smoked.
Yeah.
Yes.
So there was literally smoke in every rooms, and I'm for freedom, but that's a little bit too much freedom.
At the end,
That's
freedom
all
till it's
Till it's
Until
Until
your
it
nose.
infringes, until it infringes on someone else's
That's
freedoms,
right. So-
and that's the delicate balancing act of what we call a republic.
Yeah.
This, as Reagan said, this experiment in democracy is one generation away from extinction. And guys, I've never felt like we were closer at times. Now, thankfully, there are still some people with some common sense. The problem is most of them don't have power. You know, so that's my prayer is, Lord, give the people with common sense power and give power to the people with common sense. You know, there's never been a Gen X president. I don't know if there ever will be.
I think we may just skip over that.
We may just skip over them. Now, I don't know, J.D. Vance.
That would be bad because that means a
Gen Z.
Yeah. No, millennials will be the next ones.
Yeah,
but
you may have a millennial.
But here's the thing: even millennials now, and this is what I find is hilarious. Millennials are looking at Gen Z saying, "Oh dear Lord, what are y'all thinking?" You know, and you know, Gen Z's like thinking, "What's that?" So, you know, but you know, my wife, she says, "Oh no, I'm a Gen Xer," even though she's not. She wasn't born in the correct time period, but she does get somewhat of a pass, you know, and that's what I said. You don't have to make a demarcation line. I mean, it can be a little fluid, but you know, you had to have used a rotary dial phone at some point if you want to be Gen X. You know, you have to know what yellow pages are, that kind of stuff. So, but Jax, you're a millennial, right?
I fall under the right in the cusp.
Yeah, cusp of Gen Z.
We're talking about them right in front of them.
I'm not worried about that. You know why? Because he works for me.
Okay.
So, no, that's. But again, now take the difference. Jax is 27, and he's right on that cusp. He was born in 99. Okay. And compare the way he thinks to my 18-year-old. Night and day. Yeah. Now they're also biologically different because XY chromosomes and double X chromosomes, but it's night and day difference. And I still say part of it is COVID.
Yeah,
it was they were
when they should have been learning social skills.
When they should have been learning social skills, they were not allowed to. And you know, Peyton, she was doing online classes because you know schools were closed, and so she'd get on her computer and. Aubrey, the princess, was about, I don't know, 4 at the time. And she'd pop up behind Peyton on camera in the school, and everybody in the school would be like, "Hey, there's a kid behind you," you know. So all of a sudden class was wrecked now because the princess pops up on the screen, which by the way, we've got this thing we do every year around their mom's birthday. I'll stand them up against the wall, put the ruler up there and mark the little spot, you know. And, I stood her up to the wall the other day and I was like, "Dear Lord, this child grew like 5 inches in the last year." Woo. Wow. And I was like, "You better stop." And then Micah tells me, she said, "You quit telling that baby to stop. You used to tell me to stop growing." And one day I did.
And she did.
She said 5'1" is the best I got. Let's take a break. How about that?
All right.
All right, we'll take a break. We'll come back. We'll have more of Off the Back Porch right after this. When it comes to protecting your home or business, trust the name that's been serving South Arkansas for 3 generations, Cross Roofing and Sheet Metal. From residential roofs to large commercial projects, the experienced team at Cross delivers quality you can see and reliability you can count on. Cross Roofing and Sheet Metal, built on trust, proven by results. Call Cross Roofing today. Put a solid future over your head.
For over 6 decades, Glenn Mechanical has been specializing in HVAC, plumbing, and all mechanical jobs. 3 generations family-owned and operated since 1956. Glenn Mechanical's business is based on relationships. They support and give back to the communities they work in. Contact them for all of your HVAC, plumbing, and mechanical needs. GlennMechanical.com.
Serving South Arkansas for 25 years, and all the while expanding and growing throughout the state. ProMed Ambulance is proving their motto of world-class care and hometown values. For example, their new mobile integrated healthcare communication center. This state-of-the-art facility allows communication specialists to work directly with local 911 call centers to ensure the closest medical team is always dispatched to any emergency. World-class care and hometown values. For more information and career opportunities, go to ProMedAmbulance.com.
I did the right thing. I went to school, got good grades, got a good job, and worked hard every day. I paid my taxes and my Social Security. Then, when I got injured and couldn't work, the government told me I wasn't eligible for disability. Well, if I'm not eligible, then who is?
With experience in disability law, the team at Rushing Law Firm works hard to help clients secure the Social Security disability benefits they deserve. Don't face the process alone. Call Rushing Law Firm today and let their experience work for you. The Rushing Law Firm, fighting for the benefits you've earned.
A new shipment of express boats is in at Country Village Sporting Goods. Or maybe your boat just needs a little TLC. We have appointments available in our service department. And of course, we keep a great selection of Catalina campers. New baits, new tackle, and the latest in gear are arriving every week. So when we say everything you need to get to the water, the woods, or the camp, you know we're talking about Country Village Sporting Goods, 965 Smackover Highway in El Dorado. Like us on Facebook.
Welcome back. More of Off the Back Porch with Sandy and Boomer, sometimes Jackson, sometimes Ricky Roberts, and sometimes Buddy Hall and David Lee. And
we got a whole crew.
Kent, you're going to have to come make several appearances before you get naming rights.
Just one? Just one for Ken, isn't it?
Yeah, this is just
so
after
one. Two.
After two, we'll say maybe.
Yeah.
So
not that you would want that.
Yeah. Ricky's been 3. Jax holds the record for the most appearances.
Yeah.
David Lee is running a close second.
He's got 3.
David's 4, 5, I think.
Is it really?
I think Jax is 6. It's either 6 and 5 or 5 and 4, but
yeah, David's
right behind him. Buddy Hall and Ricky Roberts both have 3. And
well, Buddy comes when I'm not here, so
he comes and fills in.
Yeah,
and those are the best shows too.
Really, that's what I was going to say. I'm sorry I missed those.
Yeah. Hey, by the way, I met the new. It's a relative term, new. I met the new GM at Mystic Creek yesterday, Kevin LaFontaine, and we were talking and a little bit about his career, and he said, and I worked in Gulf Shores at Kraft Farms. I was like, I love Kraft Farms.
No kidding.
And he said, yeah, I was in charge of the Cypress course. And I was like, that's my favorite course.
That's the one we like
at Kraft Farms. And I was telling him, I said, I can't remember if it's 13 or 14, so forgive me. I said, but there's a lake on the right-hand side. You drive down, and it's a hard dog leg right. It's a par 5. He said, that's 13. And he said, if you can hit it 320, you can go across the water. And
I can't.
And I told him, I said, I did one time. Mm-hmm. And I said, and the guy who talked me into doing it, Buddy Hall, outdrove me by 50 yards. He just one time in my entire life where
everything came together.
Everything came together. Angels flew down.
Yeah.
Looked like Dennis Johnson from Texarkana when he used to be a running back over there.
Yeah.
Remember when we played them, Boomer?
Yeah.
El Dorado played Texarkana when Dennis Johnson was, he was a 5-star running back, and every school in the nation's trying to get him, and he's going to go to Arkansas. When that kid when they hand him the ball, it was like
he's like a bowling ball.
Well, it was like Moses parting the Red Sea, man. You could dust him for prints. You're not going to find a fingerprint on him. He was so fast, and that's what it was like that one time for me. And that's been the only good drive.
Barometric pressure changed.
Yeah, everything. The humidity,
the winds.
Yeah, exactly.
The wind gods.
That's been the only good drive I've ever had.
No, I've seen some.
That's one of the few golf courses I've ever been on. So
is that right?
Yeah. We were down there for a conference one year. But I'm not much of a golfer, but yeah.
Neither are we. Yeah. But it didn't stop me. It didn't stop me from playing.
It's the most wonderful, frustrating, maddening game they ever
most certainly
invented.
Is.
And all you need to do is hit 2 or 3 good shots in a whole round.
That's all you got to do.
And you come back and lay it down again.
That's like that. We said it last week. Golf is not a sport; it's an abusive relationship.
It is.
Baby, I can change. Just come back.
Yeah, come back.
I can change. And man, it's
and it just keeps reeling you back in.
It does. And Cat Williams, the comedian Cat Williams, is one of the most hilarious. He's a golfer, and they say, you playing from the tips? He said, He said, I'm hitting from them red tees where them women hit from. He said he's found that there is absolutely no advantage, and it's not any cheaper to hit from them other tees. Yeah, I guess so. Hey, this story comes to us out of New York. A school district in a rural corner of upstate New York is hitting pause on plans to deploy an AI-powered humanoid robot in the classroom after state education officials, teachers, and local residents raised concerns because the maker of the AI robot Also produces realistic sex toys. Sex bots.
Sex bots.
Yeah. The Salamanca City Central School District.
Easy for you to say.
Approved the nearly $60,000 purchase from Realbotics with visions that Sally, the robot with the long dark hair, has been nicknamed, would enhance the education of high school students studying robotics and technology fields. But as the news spread in the small community located in the Seneca Nation of Indians reservation, parents and teachers worried how students' personal information would be used. Unionized teachers took aim at Realbotics' sex doll sister company, even as district officials and the company itself stressed the two manufacturers operate independently. Yeah. I mean, you can see some senior walking and say, but your sister does. You know?
Yeah.
What your sister does.
Yes, Sally.
Yes, Sally, your sister does, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is it, I wonder if it's XX or XY.
Well,
Sally, you know.
The picture in the story that I read was a female robot.
Okay.
Yeah.
And quite attractive.
What is a female?
Well, I mean,
In a robot.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. We're having a hard time figuring out what a female is in a human. So
It should be easier in a robot.
Whatever you call it, I guess.
Whatever you want to be.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But I mean, if it looks like a female, like what we would think a female, then it's a female robot.
I guess so.
You're not going to go with this.
No, I'm not. I'm not at all. So, hey, by the way, this is going to be the most random question, but I wrote it down because it came to me last night. I walked into the kitchen last night. I didn't eat supper, and so at one point I'm getting a little hungry, and so I walk in the kitchen. I'm just looking for a little snack or something, and my smoking hot wife, whom I love more than life itself, had bought a box of mixed chips. You know, it's got Doritos and Cheetos and all the different kinds in it. And so I thought, why make that box of mixed? I know which kind I'm going to get out of there every time if there's any left. So let's just ask y'all, if you have a box of mixed chips and it's got blue Doritos, red Doritos, Cheetos, sour cream and onion, and Funyuns in there, which one are you going to pick out?
Funyuns or Cheetos?
Cheetos.
Funyuns.
Yeah.
I'm 100% of the time.
So then we could buy those on a trip. You get the Funyuns, you eat the Doritos, and I'll have the Cheetos. Now, if they've got Fritos in there too, or the barbecue Fritos, I like
chili cheese.
Yeah.
I'm not much on the nacho cheese Doritos.
No, not nacho. Oh,
Cool
nacho
Ranch,
cheese Doritos.
Cool Ranch Doritos.
I like Cool Ranch Doritos. Okay,
See, so
I
that
like
would
the
be
spicy
okay.
chili. You know, the spicy chili ones.
Purple bag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's, to me, that's the best.
Yeah, it's you know, and some of my kids are bougie. Oh, that's sour cream and onion. Like, you better eat them sour cream and onions.
Better eat everything in that box.
We ain't getting another box till that box is empty.
Yeah.
You know, we actually put them in a drawer in the pantry. And I can go to that drawer. I promise you 2 weeks from today, I can go to that drawer and there's going to be a ton of sour cream and onion left in the bottom of that drawer. And I'm like, that's fine. Daddy, we need some chips. No, we don't. We got a whole drawer full of chips in there. Y'all just got to eat them. And man, problem is my kids don't know what it was like to be poor.
Yeah.
Now that oldest one, she does.
Yeah.
She does. But the rest of them, even that one there, he don't know what it's like to be poor. He knows what it's like to struggle, but he doesn't know what it's like to be poor.
Yeah.
Well, he went to college.
That's right.
Yeah. One of my daughters in Houston a couple weeks ago was saying she ain't got no money, can't afford this.
Mm-hmm.
It's like how bad it is, and can't afford. We've got it so bad. It's like, no, your grandparents didn't have running water and electricity when they were little.
Yeah.
They literally had nothing. And then my cousin told me a story that I didn't remember when we were about 7. She was up visiting and she wanted some donuts, and my mom said, honey, I'm sorry. Don hadn't gotten paid yet, so we can't afford donuts today. Literally didn't have enough money to buy donuts. So yeah.
Which nowadays is a real purchase. I mean,
they're a lot more expensive.
Yeah, used to $2.99 and get you a dozen, right?
But kids today have lots of luxuries that they don't realize that.
Yeah,
they could
just
live
like
without.
we did. We had luxuries we didn't realize. But I will say this. There was one particular summer that we went without electricity more than we had it.
Right.
And that's in Houston. By the way, it's humid
Miserable.
and hot.
And
You
that's
know,
where both of my daughters live.
and you know, where I grew up in Texas, we didn't have air conditioning. They didn't get air conditioning in that house till I moved out. We had an attic fan, and you know, sucked that old humid air in there, and
sheets are wet.
Sheets are wet, growing mildew on the sheets. You know, but yeah, I mean, at the same time, I said my oldest. I remember one time when I hadn't been living here long, and I had a house I absolutely could not afford in Texas, and a wife who was in college, and kids who, you know, Jax and Cam were having to be babysat during the day while she was in school, and that cost, and then I had a house here, and Micah was living with me, and so I got paid one day, and I paid all my bills, and I had $6 left. Wow. Now listen. I made good money. It wasn't that I wasn't making enough money. Okay. I had $6 left, and it had to last me the next 2 weeks. And that kid and we went to Big Lots. Remember when Big Lots was where Hobby Lobby is now? We went to Big Lots, and I found these cans of chili, and it said Kelly's Chili, and it had a picture of a leprechaun on the outside. Went home. I had some stale crackers, made up a pot of that chili, and we ate it. And that little kid, she was 9 years old. She looked at me and said, "Daddy, thank you for supper." I said, "You're welcome, baby." She said, "Can we never have that again?" And I was like, I agree. She's told me since then, she said, "I think it had pieces of leprechaun in it." So, that kid knew what struggle was. Those early days, those struggles, you learn to appreciate things, But I was on the phone with her the other day, and she was like, "Do you know that Spam is $5 a can?" And I'm like, "What?" It's hard to convince me you're on the struggle bus if you're eating Spam, because it's $5 a can. Used to, you got Spam because you couldn't afford anything else.
That's right.
And same thing happened to ramen. I mean, there was
ramen noodles.
The college. That's how most people made their college. Spam and ramen.
Absolutely.
And if you didn't have Spam and ramen, then you weren't going to make it.
Hey, we used to have to pool our money to buy a pack of cigarettes.
Yeah, when I was little, we ate potted meat.
Yeah.
Yes. I actually bought some potted meat recently and took it home, opened it up, got some crackers out. Man, it's still good.
That's like a level below Spam, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
A level below Spam.
Spam's what's left on the bottom of the...
It's the stuff that doesn't make the cut to be
and it's
Spam.
That's off the ground and everything. You just
exactly.
That up. Yeah. But I had it tough when I was little, too, at the country club. when
Mimsy and I...
When Daddy was out there using the cart, I had to... He wouldn't rent a cart for me. I just had to pull mine. Yeah. It's tough.
Well, it is.
Walking in the summer, and I'd have to swim in the pool after that to cool off. So.
Yeah, bless your heart.
And Martha still talks about, while you were at the country club, I was in Heflin picking peas, shucking corn.
I was going to say, I was chunking watermelons for $3 an hour for Royce and Johnson.
She said I'd go back to school in September and my fingers still be purple.
Yep. People think I'm joking, but the girl I took to my prom, she had purple fingers, purple thumbs.
Hey,
and listen, that part of East Texas, you can only grow a few things. Peanuts, purple holes, and watermelons, and chickens. You can grow chickens, but that's about it. And so you make hay while the sun shines. You get what you can. My grandfather, my pawpaw, he came across. He didn't develop it, I know that, but he came across a white-skinned Spanish peanut. Most Spanish peanuts are red-skinned, and a white-skinned Spanish peanut, and they tasted fabulous. They were some of the best. And so we started growing them, and when we would dig them up, we were just putting them in a 55-gallon barrel that was already on the trailer. He hauled that barrel to town one day and stopped at the feed store, and that guy came out there and looked at him and said, he tasted them. He said, "Oh, man." He's like, "Hey, Manuel, Jorge, come here. Get this thing down and go dump it out and bring that barrel back." And he said, "I will buy as many barrels as you can bring me." And so Papa said, we're going to start growing white-skinned Spanish peanuts. And we did, and he made a lot of money off of those white-skinned Spanish peanuts.
And it takes special sandy loam.
Yeah, it takes a good soil to grow them. And he also came across and started growing something called Golden Girl tomatoes. And they were the sweetest tomatoes I've ever had in my life. I cannot find any anymore.
I've not heard of that.
And,
Never heard of them.
I'm actually growing a watermelon out in front of my house right now. There's a planter box out in front of my house.
You got one?
And I've got one. I planted 8.
But you cut it down to 1 so it'd grow bigger, or just one?
That's
group?
just one group.
I got you.
And but now I'm seeing a lot of blossoms. I still hadn't seen the first watermelon.
Oh, okay.
A lot of blooms. But also, there's deer in my neighborhood, so
they'll eat it.
It won't be
Is
any
it
time.
really?
Oh yeah,
they come in. That's in your front yard.
Come in my front yard. Yeah. And
I'm about to know. I don't know if they knew how to open a gate. They can jump over it. But
they jump over that gate.
Oh, there's deer downtown here.
Yeah.
Man, there's deer everywhere.
Hey, I'm going to tell you one of the scariest times I've had in my life. Boomer and I and some others, we were playing golf at the El Dorado Golf and Country Club one day, and we were on number 13, the one with the dip that goes back up to the green. We're on number 13, and all of a sudden, it sounds like we're about to get run over by a helicopter, man. And like 9 deer
herd of them.
ran across the green right there at us. And I mean, you could see how somebody could get hurt bad.
Yeah.
You know, he was injured. He was injured bad. You know what happened? I planted a few years ago. I planted some purple hulls out at my mother-in-law's.
I'm about to say, in your yard, you don't have enough room.
Don't have enough room now. I planted some purple hulls out at my mother-in-law's, and man, I was so proud of them. They're coming up good, and man, I'm weeding around them and all that, and one night I took a picture of them, and I made a Facebook post and said, "Dear Lord, help my crops and children grow," and I was so proud of them. The next morning,
they were gone.
There was nothing. There was nubs.
So the deer are on Facebook as well.
Yeah, the deer knew where the purple holes were. That's right. And but yeah, there's deer in our neighborhood because I've seen them in my front yard before. And so as soon as they figure out there's a watermelon plant growing up, they'll chew it down to nothing.
And my wife made the mistake of planting hostas.
Yeah,
and they taste like sugar to them. So
yeah,
they don't last.
Yeah, that's And people say, "Oh no, just get you some Irish Spring soap and put it in pantyhose." Listen, they ate the soap. They didn't care about that soap.
They're Irish.
They ain't scared. They ain't scared of that soap, And somebody made up a bucket of gruel. I mean, just some of the most foul smelling stuff you ever put out, and poured it out there, and they ate it up. They ate the grass that it was on. They don't care.
They don't care. We did a wedding at an outside event, and I'm not going to say where it was, but there's cattle and horses close by, and it's a day wedding, and so all the food's out, and it's just getting clobbered, man. So someone said Irish Spring, so we sent someone to Dollar General. They came back with an armload of Irish Spring, and we're cutting them up and putting them out there, and I think the flies like it more. The Irish Spring,
yeah.
So we got
that's clean food.
Yeah, we got tablecloths or sheets and put over everything. And, flies quit at night. I don't know where they go. They go lay down somewhere or something. But when it got to be nighttime and no one was eating anymore, it's no flies now. Y'all can come eat. But it was horrible. It was.
Yeah.
Now the last that Martha and them did a wedding this past weekend outside, 97 degrees. Middle afternoon, and a couple of weeks now we get stuff at the house every day. FedEx or UPS is pretty much coming every day. Them in Walmart, we're on the Walmart people are on first name basis with all. And so Martha's taking these things out, and it's got a little. It looks like a electric toothpaste holder. The bottom of it,
okay.
And she's got them all plugged in. I said, "What are these?" She goes, "Fly fans." I said, "What? Fly fans?" Well, it's just, you plugged it into your computer or wherever, and it's just a little plastic whirly bird on the top, and it
just keep the flies away.
Just does this. I said, we could have gone down to Home Depot and just bought a couple of regular fans. She says, "Yeah, but these are charged. You can charge them up, and they just sit them on the food." And it's more elegant looking. I said, by all means, then.
Yes,
let's buy 10 more.
Yeah.
But it works. I asked her, said it worked. But here's the bottom of the end of that story, though, that I was trying to get to. And dude says we're always, going. So here you go. What's his name? See, I don't remember his name. The whole thing about me not having to go to any more weddings anymore is I got fired, and I kind of pissed everybody off one time, so they don't want me to come back.
What did you do?
How'd you do it?
I just bossed them around, hollered at a couple of people, told them they weren't doing that right.
Yeah.
And the wedding hadn't even started, and they said, we're good. You can go ahead and go. I said, I'll be happy to stay. No. So I hadn't been invited back to any more. I believe all the other helpers said, Martha, please don't. We don't want Troy to be hollering.
We don't
at
want
us
him
anymore.
coming back. Yeah.
So I get to just stay at home and watch football.
You won that situation.
Yes.
Yeah. Now Martha's wiser than the average bear, and she understands, and so she gives me little tasks to do.
Yes.
Could you do this or could you do that? Or water the flowers, and
Mm-hmm.
She couldn't understand why our water sewage bill was $142. She says, I think it's from the commode leak. And I said, no, I think it's from watering the flowers in the yard 7 days a week now. $142. I said,
wow, that's a big bill.
That was a big bill.
Man, water is not cheap, especially in El Dorado, Arkansas.
No.
It is not cheap.
Hey, but to keep
hey, I don't want to have to go get it myself.
No, how are you going to haul
Cheaper
that?
than the alternative.
Yeah.
I remember one of my children came home one day from Yoakum Elementary and said, Dad, we have got to start buying bottled water. We cannot, the water is terrible and we can't even take showers in it. We've got to start getting bottled water. And I'm like, so you want me to just get like milk jugs of water and we'll poke holes in it and just let it, I mean, what are you talking about? No, Dad, you got to understand. This guy came to our school today and he explained it to us and it's like second or third grade. I said, buddy, let me ask you a question. Have you made it this far then? Have you made it this long? I said, now, did this guy have a logo on his shirt? Did it say Dasani or just Aquafina? Yeah. I mean, what was,
what was he selling?
Represent?
Yeah. I don't know, man. I watch some of these shows, these survival shows and stuff, and they'll go to this creek that's got pure blue water and it's just babbling through there and they'll drink it. Next thing you know, they're throwing up and diarrhea and I'm like, I don't understand because I've been drinking out of creeks my entire life.
Me too.
And I've never, ever.
Now, not in South Louisiana, you don't want to drink out. There's no creeks.
No, the bayous.
Yeah. Amy decided she needed to have, when she was maybe junior high.
You don't want to drink out of Smackover Creek.
No. No. She decided she needed to have bottled water all the time.
Uh-huh.
And she wanted, I don't know what it was, maybe Aquafina or Dasani. And we're talking 30 something years ago. So she would drink one and throw it away and I'd take it out. And I'd go to the tap and fill it back up, screw the lid back on, put it back in the refrigerator.
Yeah.
That's a great idea.
And so after we ran out of one case, I'd let them go. She says, we need to get another case. I said, I still got some in there, baby. You can use them. So we got down to about a dozen or so of them, and I kept filling them up. And finally she caught on. The light clicked eventually.
It's the same difference.
Yeah.
Except it's probably cleaner.
Someone said to me one day I was drinking some bottled water, said, you ever read the back of that bottle? And I was like, yeah. They said, that's bottled in Houston. I was like, that's where I'm from, my hometown. I said, it tastes like home to me.
Yeah. Some of them say Dallas. They out of the city water in Dallas.
Yeah. It's it tastes like home to me. I don't know. I've been in situations where we didn't have water. Just when at our family farm before my grandparents retired and moved there permanently, there wasn't any water, so we had to bring water with us, and so obviously there was no indoor toilet. And, so we would go outside and it was just, I don't remember it being that bad, Now I don't want to do it today. I enjoy having indoor plumbing,
Absolutely.
But it wasn't the end of the world. I'm afraid for my youngest kids, the 2.0s, if they even had the thought that they would have to do number 2 outside, what in the world, So
my grandfather says, when they decided to have indoor plumbing, he says, Why would I want to do that inside my house?
Yes. A lot of old people were that way.
That's what they were. Why would I want to do that inside my house? That's what they thought, because all they could think of was the
old outhouse.
The old outhouse, and we were going to dig a hole in the floor and just let it go.
Yeah, that's I mean, in every generation that gets something new, there's always those who are suspicious. I mean, I can remember, the phone would just be ringing and I'd run over there to answer it, and my grandma would say, no, baby, it's thundering outside.
Yeah.
And, because we all knew somebody whose first cousin's stepmom's brother lived next door to a guy who answered the phone when it was thundering, and he got electrocuted.
That lightning come through there.
That lightning come through there, yeah. And there were a lot of people, they wouldn't take a shower if it was thundering outside.
Hey, I got some friends to this day. If it starts thundering tonight, they're going to go put on their tennis shoes.
Oh, so they have rubber soles on? Yeah.
Wow.
It's just a family tradition. I don't know if they think that they're going to get electrocuted through the storm, but they just still do it.
Again, all the things we grew up being told to be afraid of. The only one that I ever really encountered, I never encounred quicksand. No one ever offered me free drugs. By the time I got to the age where I wanted to do drugs, it cost a lot of money. I was having to buy weed. Nobody ever gave me any. And that girl I was dating that liked crank, no one ever offered me any free crank. I was paying for that stuff, Listen, that was pre-Jesus.
Hey, she was paranoid all the time, though.
That was pre-Jesus, y'all.
Yeah.
No, the only thing I ever encountered was a downed power line. And, man, back in the day, if there was a downed power line 6 streets over, it could kill everybody.
Yeah.
Within 7 miles.
It was wet from there to here.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's Houston, so everything's always wet. But, I remember I'm walking to school one morning in like 6th grade, and come out of our neighborhood, and you turn, and we walk up beside this playground at this church, and then you turn again, and there's the school. And I'm walking up, and there's an accident, a vehicle accident, and one of the cars careens off the other one and hits this pole, and a power line comes down. It's
it's jumping
off the pavement. I turned around and ran as hard and as fast as I could back home. I'm not going to school today because I have to walk within several miles of that. I'm hoping I can get back home before I die because that was, down power lines, man.
So now the waiting 30 minutes after you eat to swim, I believe that's a real thing, isn't it?
I don't think so.
You don't think so? You think you ain't gonna cramp up?
Oh, I think you can. I mean, especially if you've had your gallbladder out. Without a gallbladder, you have yours?
Yes.
Do you have yours?
Yes, sir.
You don't, but you ain't got an appendix.
I don't have one of them.
Yeah. Without a gallbladder, it's a roulette wheel every time you eat something. I can sometimes sit down and enjoy an entire meal. I can sometimes sit down and take the first 2 bites, and I'm
whether it's greasy or not.
Sometimes it doesn't even matter.
Really? Wow.
But I can take 2 bites. I'm like, y'all gonna have to excuse me.
It runs through you. I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's the only thing about not having a gallbladder. And here's the thing you learn about not having a gallbladder.
Not eating out much.
You don't get a second warning.
Oh yeah,
you get one morning, and
you be like Shaquille. You got to get up in the middle of the broadcast and you got to go poo poo
right then.
He says, "I got to go."
Yeah.
Y'all see that on there?
Yes, I did. Yeah, Shaquille O'Neal, right in the middle of an NBA halftime show on TNT.
He got up and walked.
He got up and walked off the set.
Walked straight. He didn't go behind the set. He just walked in front of the cameras.
Yeah.
I met him one year. He was. It's the only time I've ever flown first class. Someone else paid for the flight, and I was in the first class. And there was this huge person sitting at the very front of the plane, and it was him. And it was the only seat that he could have possibly sat in.
Yeah,
because nowhere else. Now, luckily, I had one of my LSU hats on, and he signed it and let me take pictures and everything.
That's cool.
That's cool.
So he was just super nice, and
that's what I've heard about him. I met Karl Malone for the first time 6, 7, 8 months ago, and I told him first right out of the box. I said, "I'm sorry, I don't like you," and he's like, "Okay." You could tell he didn't change his life at all. Yeah. And he's like, "Okay," and I said, "But here's why." I said, 1986. I was living in Houston. I said, so by law, I had to be a Rockets fan, and he laughed and he said, "Yeah, man, dream." He said, "Twin Towers," says Samson and Elijah. I was like, "Yeah." And I said, "But my favorite player outside of Elijah was a first guy in off the bench, and man, I just drew a blank on his name. But anyway, I said Peterson was his last name, and I said, I'm listening one night, and my routine was I'd come home, I would do my homework, turn the game on the radio in the bathroom, and start my bath water, then go back in there and get whatever I'm going to change into, and then so I walk out, and I said the Rockets are playing the Jazz. And I come back in time to hear all these whistles, and and Peterson's been ejected. And I said, no one ever said why. I said, the very next day, Peterson comes to my junior high because he and our basketball coach played college ball together at the University of Minnesota. And I said, so he does, he talks to us a little bit about stay in school, you're not going to make the pros kind of thing. And then he says, he does a little Q&A. Man, I can't, my hand's first one up. He's like, yeah. I said, you got ejected out of last night's game. And I said, I missed it. What happened? And he got kind of red faced. He's like, man, he said, there's a new rookie in the league. They call him the mailman. And he said, I just felt like he delivered one too many elbows. I didn't handle it right. And so I run into this guy 40 years later. And I'm telling him, hey, you came to my school. And he's like, I don't remember coming to school. I do remember that ejection. And he said, let me send you a picture. So I gave my cell phone number, and he sends me a picture of him and Karl Malone. And they are tied up. I mean, Malone's all over him, and Peterson's trying to hold him back. And I mean, you can see every muscle on both of those gentlemen is bulging. They're getting it, So when I meet Karl Malone, I'm telling him that, and I said, and I have the picture if you'll let me show it to you. He said, absolutely. So I show it to him. He said, them boys were young. Them boys were young. He said, man, that dude lived in the gym. He said, I hated going to Houston. He said, I hated playing him, period. Yeah. But when we had to play him in Houston, he said, I knew I'm going to get beat up.
Yeah. He
said, that game is going to be tough. And he said, well, if you get the chance to talk to him again, tell him I said, I'm sorry. I apologize. And I said, oh, I will. I'll certainly pass that along. And he said, and tell him I said, them boys were young.
Them boys were young.
Yeah. But Karl was great. He was really fun to talk to. And, I think we were talking about it before we started. We got the chance recently to sit down with Daniel Gafford and interview him for a few minutes. And, man, of course, I've known this about him forever. Mm-hmm. Daniel's such a great guy. And I almost said kid. He's not a kid.
No.
By the way, anyone who gets a $40 million contract can no longer be called kid.
Yeah, he's a man.
But he's such a great ambassador for El Dorado. When they had him on in the NBA Finals, he comes on after the game and was talking with Shaq and Charles Barkley, and he gave a shout out to the Hey Good Neil, and
he did,
and told him he was from El Dorado, Arkansas, and Barkley says, "Is that close to Magnolia?"
Yeah.
He said, "I got friends in Magnolia." He said, "They got chickens in their yard."
I remember that.
Yeah. But we got the chance to talk to him. Man, I'm telling you, they had to have given away $40,000 worth of tennis shoes.
Wow.
To kids that day.
Wow.
And I'm not talking about $60 pair of shoes. I'm talking about $600 pairs of shoes. Some that were signed by Allen Iverson, some that were signed by, and I don't pretend to know, Jax could tell you everybody who plays in the NBA now, but, and they're giving these shoes away. And I mean, it was phenomenal to watch him come back and give to his community. And anytime a guy gets that kind of money and it's public like that, there's always people standing when you show it back home with their hand out, man, well, you got 40 million. You couldn't just, I just need 10,000.
Right.
Yeah. But before long, you'll have no thousands if you keep doing that. That's the downfall of that. So guys like that don't get to come home very often. I remember one year, songwriter Odie Blackman. Do you know Odie? So Blackman's hardware and Blackman's furniture.
Yeah.
That's his dad. And Odie's from here. And Odie wrote George Strait's 51st number one hit, She'll Leave You With a Smile.
Wow.
And then he wrote Leanne Womack's I May Hate Myself in the Morning, which was nominated for a Grammy. And so he was coming to town. I'm called him and he's like, look, I'll do an interview with you. And it was just audio. So he said, but you have to pretend that you're in Nashville. I cannot have anyone know when I'm home. He said, because it's too much.
Yeah.
I get bombarded with why didn't you come? Why didn't you come to me? Why didn't you come see me? Man, we were best friends. And he said,
I could see where that'd be a problem.
and he said, I just can't let people know when I'm coming home. So, start off with, Odie, thank you for welcoming us into your home. It's a beautiful place. And we were literally sitting in Boomer's office in the sales building at the time. Yeah. And he's looking around. He's like, yeah. He said, I did a lot of this work myself. So, but those guys, they can't, it's hard for them to come back home and
you don't have that problem. Whenever I go to Walmart, just people stopping me and wanting to give me money because I look like I should be out in front with a sign.
With a sign.
Yeah. In the early 90s, I was still in nursing school, but one of my friend, a lot of my friends went to NLU in Monroe, and they wanted me to come home weekend. Said, I want you to meet my buddy. He just signed a big record deal. He's going to be a big star. Nobody, of course, nobody knew that. Well, it was Tim McGraw.
Tim McGraw, yeah.
But
when you said NLU and
and it's as big a star as he is. I mean, and of course he knew everybody because he was in frats and stuff, but you can't keep up with everybody. You can't.
No.
Yeah.
And again, when you get to a certain level of wealth, and I don't pretend to have any experience at that, but when you get to a certain level of wealth, there are expectations that you have to fulfill.
Yeah, that's right.
I do have a couple of acquaintances, I'd say friends, but who've become social media influencers and are making like real money,
big money,
like changing generations, money.
Right.
And, but they'll also tell you that it's maybe been one of the worst decisions they've ever made because of the demands that are on them.
Right. Yeah.
And the thing is you can't have a bad week. You can't have an off week.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Because if you do and your numbers dip, all these companies that are sending you all this money and all this product and all these things that you've come to rely on, they will drop you like a bad habit.
Yeah.
And
so
you
got to be making content every day.
Right. Every single day. Yeah. So one of my favorite people on social media is Justin Danger Nunley. And I love the guy. I mean, he's hilarious. But, he recently had a thing where some people showed up at his house.
Ooh.
And he's like, look, he came on, he did a video. He said, listen, I love y'all. Y'all have helped me enjoy things in life I never thought possible. And I love that we get to have these moments. And I love seeing you at events. I love going to these events and meeting you people and seeing you. Don't come to my house.
Yeah.
He said, that's not going to end well. Stell Cracker, that guy down in South Louisiana. I mean, he made enough money. He told the state where to stick it,
Yeah,
but
I love his videos.
Yeah, I do too. But again, there's a guy that, man, he has to fill up before he leaves town, because if he stops at a gas station anywhere along a trip, he's never going to make it.
That's right.
He's going to be stuck there. There's also the guy that he'll fix your car for free. Have you seen him? Mm-mm. So SB Mowing, the guy who comes up and mows yards?
Yeah.
Yeah. And this guy does kind of the same thing as SB Mowing, except he'll fix your car. He just ride. He was living in Tulsa, and he's riding around, and he sees a car broke down the side of the road. He'll pull up and say, hey, what's going on? Oh, man, I don't know. It just blah, blah, blah. And next thing you know, he's like, well, you need a this and a that.
Oh, I have seen him.
And give me just a minute. And he'll run to the parts store, and he'll get the parts, and he'll come down there and he'll jack this car up, and he's got a tool load out in his truck that just makes my heart just green with envy. And he'll fix this car and get him back on. Man, I watched him rebuild a front end in an apartment complex one time, in a parking space in an apartment and then lined it. He aligned the front end in that parking lot. And I'm like, dude.
No wonder he makes bank.
And they're like, no, you don't owe me a thing. I just
want,
a
unique idea.
But that guy, he's another man, he can't go anywhere. And when he was in Tulsa, he eventually had to leave Tulsa because people would just start following him around. Mm-hmm. They would see his truck and they just start following him.
Bringing their cars to him.
And
I'm broke down.
Yeah. It got to be where when he would stop to help somebody, then people would get mad because, well, my air conditioner doesn't work. He's like, sorry, this is I'm helping. Well,
SB Moen had a lady come up and said, "What about my house across the street?"
You know what? People like that.
You can't get them all.
Yeah, I just I'm so done with them.
Glenn Beck was saying that one time, didn't he live in Dallas area for a
Glenn
while?
lives in Texas still.
Yeah,
I think.
Is he still in Texas?
I think he's still in Texas. Yeah.
Okay, so somebody's in Florida. That's
that's
Hannity.
Sean Hannity.
Yeah.
Oh, did Hannity move to Florida?
he's in
I was going
Florida.
to say it's the Jew. He's in Florida too. Shapiro. Yeah.
Glenn Beck was saying that he and his wife just decided they were going to go one day. He usually has a entourage with him to protect him. And he said a guy started chasing them. They'd gone downtown or something. And he said, luckily he didn't want to do any harm. He said, but we didn't know.
Right.
And he said, just, I can't go anywhere. Just can't go anywhere.
Rush. There's a picture of, if this camera's hot, make that camera hot pointing at Boomer. That picture right over Boomer's shoulder, that's a picture of me with Rush Limbaugh. And so Rush he got that way. I mean, it was just absolutely, he had to fortify himself.
Yeah.
And when he moved to Florida, he literally had to put up like 12-foot tall gates and walls around his home.
Yeah.
And it just,
it's just people want his time. They didn't want to hurt him or anything.
For the most part, you think.
But there's some crazy people on the left that would have loved to kill him.
Oh, sure.
Oh, yeah. Well, we know they are because those are the people who applauded Charlie Kirk's death.
Oh, my Lord. My Lord.
How do you claim to care about
anything
about children that are being separated from their parents via ICE, and yet you applaud someone murdering a husband and father in front of his wife and kids?
And we saw it live on TV.
How? Those two things don't match up.
No.
So, do y'all remember David Youth that was pastor of
your church? Yeah.
He was in the 90s. He was there for like 3 years. Then he went to West Monroe, and then he went to Orlando. And David's semi-retired or maybe have retired by now, but he had come back several times, and we were having Easter at not the art center,
the auditorium.
No, not the auditorium, across from the college, and
at the convention
center. Thank you. That's a real tough word, Troy. So, and I was leading the singing at that particular time, and so I'd watched him. He'd come through the gauntlet. I mean, he'd walked all the way through, and he had to stop and talk to everybody, and he shook hands. At least, the place was filled because they wanted all to see David Youth. And he got all the way up to the front row, and the sound guy on my ear bid said, send Dr. Youth back here. I need to put the mic back on him. And I told him he needed to go to the back. He says, oh, please don't make me go through that gauntlet again. So they brought even you see pastors that have to have people around them when they're at mega churches because, we don't know if they want to do harm.
Well, listen,
but they can't stay there forever.
Take it a smaller scale. I mean, my first wife and we got to where we couldn't go out to eat within 100 miles of our home. We would go to Shreveport, for example, to go out to eat, and people would come up and just sit down at our table.
Because
I had the number one radio show, yeah. And people felt like they knew me.
Yeah.
And when you have those kind of ratings and that kind of audience, you love that. I want that, but I also want you to respect my time.
People feel like they know you.
They do. Yeah. And it's matter of fact, it's one of the things that infuriates Cam, my son. People are like, I know your dad. He's like, no, you know who my dad is, but you don't know my dad. But that
hopefully y'all were at Superior Grill.
Do what now?
Hopefully you were at Superior Grill.
We did go to Superior Grill.
One of the best.
I love
Superior. It is a good
restaurant.
We went to this last weekend. We were coming back from my Uncle Mason's funeral, and we stopped at Ralph and Kaku's.
That's another good place.
And
absolutely.
I was not impressed. Yeah. I wasn't disappointed, but I was not as impressed as I usually am at Ralph and Kaku's.
It's been a minute since I've been there.
Yeah, I haven't been.
Another great restaurant in Bossier is Two Johns.
I haven't been there.
There's Two Johns that are the chefs that own it.
Yeah.
And it's on Airline Highway going north a couple miles on the left. But
I have to check that out.
It is very good.
We were at Superior Grill years ago, and we were in the parking lot in the back, in there, parking lot in the back behind. And, I got the bill and used cash and thought I'd left a good tip. And so here comes the waiter chasing me down in the parking lot.
Oh, my.
And I had shorted him. I said, man, I am sorry. I just didn't put one of the bills down that was supposed to be, it was 100.
Yeah.
And one of the hundreds didn't get down there, and he held the money and I said, oh man, I'm sorry. And he did not habla de English very well. And he was not happy.
No. And,
he
at that point you can't convince him it was a mistake.
No, he thought I was trying to walk it,
Yeah,
and I was very embarrassed because, obviously it's a nice restaurant and good food. And, I'd lost face with my family. They said, Troy, did you try to stiff the waiter?
Yeah.
Now we were in Destin one time, and I'm not going to. It doesn't matter. We ate at a nice place, and I gave him my card, and came back and no card. I said, "Where's my card?" Oh, we gave it back to you. No, you didn't.
They gave it to the wrong person.
I said, I don't know. She said, well, what are we going to do? She says, well, there's a number you can call. I said, no, there's a number you can call.
Yeah.
I said, you lost my card. Well, sure enough, it got hacked, and the card got hacked, and we had to cancel it. And we're in Florida. And
that makes for a great vacation.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I had other cards, but having to do all the calling and that was, plus I had to stay there another hour after we ate trying to get all that settled. So,
well, there's a restaurant in Hot Springs that you can't use your card.
Yeah.
And we proved it.
You can, but you shouldn't?
You shouldn't.
Okay.
We proved it. So one time, Mr. Nolan and I were in Hot Springs, and he always wants to eat Mexican food no matter what. We could be anywhere in the world. He's going to want Mexican food. So we stopped at this particular place and ran his card. A few days later, all these charges start popping up on his card. So they cancel the card, get him a new one, refuse those charges. Then maybe, I don't know, a month later, I'm there and I take Eddie Tarpley, who was our GM at the time. I take Eddie and we go eat at this same place. And I used my corporate card.
Same story.
A couple days later, and so we did it again with another person at our corporate office. They and I went, and sure enough, so
you'll need to tell me that off air.
I will,
because I need to know that.
I will. And I can't remember the name of it, but I can show it to you. But anyway, next thing you know, if you think getting audited by the IRS is bad, wait till them credit card investigators walk into a business.
Yeah.
Those
it
guys
happened 3 times in a row.
Yeah.
Martha, when she was before she sold out in the clothing business, used American Express exclusively to purchase, all her clothing, and would get hacked. I'm telling you, Martha has probably had 20 different American Express accounts. And so she was suspect. So the one time, now this was 4, 5, 10 iterations ago, she only made one purchase at this particular place. Well, it got hacked. And so she calls American Express and tells them this. She says, I need restitution. She says, well, we'll take it all off, but we can't convict them or anything. She says, well, why not? We know it's them.
Yeah.
And but they can't tell you who it was.
because they're in China. That's why.
Maybe so.
Well,
that's why they can't convict them.
That's probably true. But yeah, she finally figured it out. But she's had a umpteen American Expresses, and it happens. One time, she paid for a guy to sit at the not the bar, but for his accounting, whatever you call that.
Yeah, the CPA
exam. He gave money to his Muslim Brotherhood or his mosque, and then ordered him some porn. All on her card. American Express.
Yeah.
And so, he bought it off the dark web. It got from Ching Chong, China or wherever.
Yeah.
And,
I had an account that I was saving money for a specific purpose, and I had $8,000 in that account. And one day I log in and it's zero.
Yeah.
There was 2 $4,000 purchases at a ski resort in Germany. And so, of course the bank, they helped me and we got it all squared away. But, it just happens. It can happen like that. And
it does.
You got to keep an eye on it.
All they've got to do is take a picture of it.
Yeah.
But So if you go to Europe, I've been to Ireland and England. No restaurant, they always bring the machine out to you.
They don't take your
because
card.
no person there would let someone take their card off
and walk off.
And that's really the way it ought to be.
It really is. Truth be told, it really is. Should be that way.
And let me warn people too that especially old people like me. I got a voicemail that said, "We look forward to your eye examination. We'll see you in the morning at such and such a time, and look forward to meeting you." And so I just text back. I said, "You got a wrong number. I don't have any eye exam. Yada yada." Well, within the next few minutes, I was from that same number. I had purchased a new Samsung 5000 or whatever, and I needed to call to make sure that I said, no, and it's just that easy, and I should have just deleted it to begin with, but I was trying to be nice. I said, "Oh, well, this office thinks I'm coming."
I'm naturally suspicious.
I'm not suspicious enough,
and so, but they nearly got me. Even I sitting before we had these studios, my office was at my house, and I'm sitting there at my computer one day. My phone rings, and I answer, and it's like, "Yeah, thank you very much. This is Verizon calling." And
it's not Verizon.
No, but he's telling me, he said, "You ordered 2 iPhone 16 to be delivered to," and he gave me an address. I'm like, "No." "Okay, we will reverse this charge because it did look suspicious. That's why we called."
Give me your card number.
And we're going to reverse these. He said, "But you need to change your password on your Verizon account." And he said, "So I'm going to send you a text that'll take you there." And it's like, okay. And sends me the text, and it goes, and it is legitimately to Verizon. And I'm starting to go through there, and I was like, wait a second. Hold on. And he said, "Just tell me when you have changed it." And he told me what to change the password to. And that's when I was like, And he said,
because that way he knows it.
"Yeah, have you changed the password?" I said, "Yes." "Okay, hold to please." "No, sir, this is not working." And I was like, "Right, because I'm not going to change it to what you told me to change it to." "No, sir, I am with Verizon Security, and we are, blah, blah, blah." And I said, "It says right here on the screen, no one from Verizon will call you and ask you your password. That's what it says right here on the screen." Click.
He's in Mumbai in a call center. So there's a guy online.
I know him. Yes.
He's great, but he'll hack it. He'll hack into their systems.
He'll be looking at them through their cameras.
And he'll be notifying the police locally. And
he acts like he's a confused old man.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's brilliant.
The one where he's like, he said something about, he called them by their real name, which is that long,
It scares them to death.
And they're like, No,
this is Scotland.
I am Roger.
Yeah.
I am Roger. No, you're not Roger.
He'll hear them cussing about,
yeah.
Or they'll be punching the person next to him.
And he knows their language, so he can speak the language.
Well, that, and a lot of times they'll have a mute button on their computer, and he'll disable it. And
he's good.
Yeah, he's fabulous. Man, that guy is great to watch. And because like I said, he may not hack the computer that you're calling him from. He may hack the overhead surveillance cameras or a computer over here that can see you. And he's like, "Oh, you wore that yellow shirt today, huh?"
And he'll know exactly where they're at, what city, what block, what building,
the exact address. And man, I mean, he can
scare the bejesus out of them.
he does.
But it's great.
Now, I have a friend in town, a very intelligent professional person that got all the way to Dollar General to buy some gift cards. But said, "You know what? I'm going to have the police there with me when I do this and call you back." "Okay, no, fine, thank you." And, it just ended. He said, "I almost bought into it that I was going to be able to pay that bill with a gift card from Dollar General."
Yeah. And anyone asking you to buy gift cards, there's red flag number one.
Legit.
Red flag number one. But that's the thing is everybody's you have to be on it because there's scams everywhere.
Yeah, and I see them commonly. They'll send something, say click to deposit. Like you're getting money from someone. You just don't believe them.
No.
Basically, don't believe any text or any email.
No.
You need to be distrusting is
well,
where
you know,
need to be.
obviously I birthed eldoarc.com.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a time where eldoarc was a behemoth. It was a monster.
Mm-hmm.
When we first started that, we had one part-time employee that worked a couple hours a week. When I left, we had 5 full-time employees dedicated strictly to eldoarc.
Wow.
That's how big it was.
Wow.
But one of the first things that happened, one of our employees, her husband had an old, like 77, 78 Pontiac Trans Am Firebird black with the gold Firebird on it, you know, and was going to sell it on eldoarc, and got a cashier's check in the mail for about $6,000 more than the asking price. Mm-hmm. And of course, the instructions were to
mail back,
deposit that, and send that back, and then, you know, we'll hire the shipper who will come and they'll pick it up and blah blah blah. And that was the first time I'd ever even heard of that scam, and it was still a new scam to the people at the bank even. Wow. And you know, thankfully, she went down to the bank with the cashier's check, and they called. It wasn't real.
Yeah,
it looked every bit of it. I mean, it had the little iridescent thing and the watermarks and all. I mean, but people are always going to be out there for a scam, so you just have to be on top of it. And
the company that I work for is owned by a much larger company, and we get emails all the time seeing if you're going to click on the wrong thing, and you have to take. We take continuing education on what to look for and phishing and all those different things, because, you know, especially if you're in insurance, you know, you've got a lot of sensitive information. People's VIN numbers, their home address, and their social security number, and all that. So, you know, it's very, very important to not be able to. So I don't ever, my company email, I don't ever use that for anything.
Yeah.
Now my regular email, it's so old, it's Ymail. Do you know anybody that has not Yahoo, but Ymail.com?
Never heard of that.
So yeah,
I remember it.
I remember it.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. So mine is still Ymail, and you know I have, and it's all hunting stuff or ED stuff. Since I'm old,
ED stuff.
Well, if you get a certain age, they start sending
they send it to you whether you ask for it or not. Yeah, listen, my algorithm on TikTok, about every third swipe is Blue Chew Gold.
Mine too. You know, in TikTok, I wanted to see if you could just stop and start over. If you could just sign out and start a new one, or change it, or just delete everything so your algorithm would start over. Because I just, you know, it's just too much. I don't want to see everything that I get now.
Just search for different things. Search like you're a 15 or a 20-year-old. You know,
no, I don't want to do that.
Scratch that. You would know what that would be.
Yeah.
Well, we were having a discussion about social media one day, and literally the producer's sitting right there where Jax is today, and their phone lit up with an offer
for the subject we were talking about.
Literally just lit up right there.
And just because I said ED ads and you said Blue Chew. Watch your phone here in a few minutes.
Always listening.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly.
And Alexa is definitely always listening.
Yes,
I have to. She'll pick up stuff. She'll get her name off the TV sometime.
Well, here's what's funny.
And I'll tell her. I said, nobody's talking to you.
One day, I'm sitting at my desk, sitting at my computer, and I get a little alert, ding, and it's from Alexa, and it says, "Want to relive the laughs from this morning? Click here."
And it recorded it.
I clicked. It was a conversation between my wife and the oldest 2.0. They didn't ask her to record. They didn't say, hey, can you keep this for posterity? It records the conversation, realizes the conversation was funny, and then sent it to me and said, do you want to relive that from this morning? I listened to the whole conversation.
Yeah.
Oh, my Lord.
That's one reason I don't have an Alexa.
I think I'm going to take mine out. Glenn Beck said, you know, and Glenn's he's an alarmist.
Yes.
But a lot of things that Glenn Beck has said has happened.
Right.
Anyway, he's talking about the new glasses.
The Meta glasses.
Meta glasses. He said it sees what you see. He said whether it's a handheld or not. But this lady, she was assigned said she was anxious, but she wasn't. And so he said, so now forever she's anxious. by all the standards, by this Meta glasses, that she's an anxious person. He said, so they're going to create a profile for you by determining from their database, if you encounter these circumstances, you're going to be this.
Yeah. That's scary.
That is scary.
You know, it's the one reason I won't have, because I have a friend had some of those glasses and was like, here, look, you know, and I mean, just, it's amazing. Absolutely amazing. But I wear glasses all the time. So what happens when I go in the bathroom to pee?
Take the glasses off.
But the prediction is 10 years from now, these won't exist.
No.
Yeah.
It'll all be on glasses or
that's why
something
Elon
else.
Musk didn't have a phone company.
And everything will be verbal. Like if you want to order pizza, you just tell your agent what you want and it'll handle everything. So,
you know,
some of that sounds nice. Some of it sounds
a lot of it sounds like I don't know. Maybe we just put a number on our forehead. And, you know,
no, thank you.
You know, palm of your hand or on your forehead.
That's exactly what it is.
You know,
Jared Hurst, who works with us, he's our sales director.
Yeah,
the subject came up and he said, "We'll just do a chip," and I said, "No, thank you.
I'm not going to put a chip in my hand."
Yeah, yeah.
You know, we chip dogs all the time, and now we've got Life 360, and I've got all my kids on it, and I can see where they're going. And you know, I said, "What are they doing over there?" And I've called them before, or text them, said, "What are you doing? Are you okay? You're off your route." And so Martha's got one for our dog now, and so it's for the dog we have a little deaf dog that we kept out of a litter because you know she didn't want to sell a deaf dog, which I thought was fine. Just tell them it's deaf anyway. So she stays at home and because she doesn't go outside. Because you can't go, you poop, and you can't do that. So she has the little GPS thing on her. And so I'm talking to Amy the other day. She goes, well, where'd Sadie go? I said, Sadie's sitting right here in front of me. She says, well, it says on my Life 360 that Sadie left home. I said, well, Sadie is sitting right here in front of me. I said, but thanks for checking on Sadie for me.
Let's take a break.
All right,
we'll come back. We'll have more of Off the Back Porch right after this.
Leadership matters, and El Dorado is moving forward. Under Mayor Paul Choate, we rebuilt streets and our wastewater plant without raising taxes. We strengthened public safety, upgraded parks, expanded internet access. New businesses are investing here. Jet service to Dallas is connecting us to what's next. Safer streets, real progress, a city working together.
I'm Paul Choate. Together we've made progress, and together we can keep making El Dorado the best it can be.
Rated the #1 course in Arkansas by Golf Week, Mystic Creek is truly a hidden gem, complemented by a modern clubhouse, complete with panoramic views. It also features a fully stocked pro shop and Mystic Grill serving contemporary American cuisine and Southern classics. Mystic Creek promises an unforgettable experience.
Bad things happen, and of course, they never happen at the right time. Maybe it's just a little bump and cosmetic damage, or it's turned into a huge insurance claim and you just don't know where to go next. That's why so many of your neighbors and friends call on Cook's Body Shop in El Dorado. From the minor to the major, Cook's Body Shop is in your corner. Need someone to help you deal with insurance? Look to Cook's. Need advice on what to do next? Look to Cook's. Need a free estimate? Look to Cook's. Bad things are going to happen, and when they do, look to Cook's.
When it comes to your family's financial future, peace of mind matters. At Harrison Financial Management, they are right here to help you plan, grow, and protect what matters most. Whether you're planning for retirement, investing wisely, or securing your family's future, they will guide you every step of the way. Harrison Financial Management, your future, their commitment.
Welcome to Davis Farms Country Market in El Dorado, Arkansas. This is more than just a place to shop. It is a place where local farms, markets, and families can share what they do best. Inside, you'll find fresh produce, locally raised beef and pork, farm fresh eggs, jams, honey, seasonings, baked goods, grilling supplies, and plenty of Arkansas-made favorites. There's also a deli serving sandwiches, salads, gumbo, and other tasty choices. So whether you are planning supper, shopping for a gift, or searching for something delicious, stop by Davis Farms Country Market. Just be careful. You may come in for one thing and leave with 17. Davis Farms Country Market.
32 years ago, a young Robert Rushing began his life of public service joining the El Dorado Fire Department. While saving lives during the day, Robert Rushing put himself through college and law school at night, eventually opening a law practice in 2010 to protect and serve the rights of people in South Arkansas. By the way, he was still working as a fireman at the time. And after 23 years of service, Robert Rushing answered the call again and was elected as city attorney. Today, Robert Rushing still has that desire to serve. Re-elect Robert Rushing as El Dorado City Attorney.
Welcome back for more of Off the Back Porch with Sandy and Boomer. And Boomer, we're not just off the back porch.
We're on the big couch.
But now, Kent, you got to, when someone says, hey, how was it? You can tell them, well, we were on the big couch.
Yeah.
But you got to do that.
Because that gives it more validity.
Okay.
Yeah, more gravitas.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, and you got to do that. You know, obviously, I said earlier we invited you because you're the head of the local Republican Party, and what is it that said to Kent at whatever age you're a Republican?
So and of course I identify way more as a conservative than a Republican.
Me too.
Yeah.
So, because the party, I mean, it's just a label. You know, if the parties, if the Democrats became conservative and pro-life and pro-family, and the Republicans went crazy, like
went woke,
then I would be a Democrat. So
Yeah.
it's, the label doesn't mean anything. It's what it stands for. But so I was in junior high watching Crossfire with Pat Buchanan, and all the different people they would have on.
Yeah.
And my parents never discussed politics. They weren't political. I never heard them talk about voting or elections or anything. So I didn't really have, I didn't have a Democrat is great, Republicans. I didn't have any from either side, but I just listened to the arguments, and I would listen to the big government socialistic type of arguments versus conservative free market arguments. And I determined that that's what made sense to me. So that's how I became a conservative and identified as a Republican. Of course, Reagan was president when I was still a kid. I was in junior high when he was shot.
Wait a minute. Wait.
Yeah.
You were in junior high?
I was in junior high. Yeah.
You're older than I am?
I'm 59.
Wow.
Yeah.
You've taken better care of yourself.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So, but yeah, I was in 7th or 8th grade when it happened. And, and I listened to a lot of what he said and how he spoke. And, so that's how I identify as a
my
Republican.
family, I've told Boomer before, I said, most families, your Coke or Pepsi, Republican or Democrat, Ford or Chevy.
Yeah, that's
right.
right.
And
That's right.
our strippers or hookers, whichever, that's my family. But,
Neither.
Yeah. So
Cheryl, neither.
Yeah. But
look right into the camera.
Yeah, look right into the camera. He's like, neither one. But my dad was single, and it was the 70s. It was crazy. But my family was they were Coke, Chevrolet, and Democrat.
Yeah,
plain and simple. And I remember in 1980, Daddy had been married briefly.
Right.
He was single almost all my life, and but Daddy had been married briefly, and we came home, and it was election day, 1980, and we came home, and there was nothing in our house. When I say nothing, I mean the curtains, the curtain rods, everything was gone. When she left, brother, she took everything.
Everything.
Wow.
Everything.
Wow.
There was a couple of dirty dishes in the sink. The clothes that were in the dryer,
she didn't fold them.
She didn't take them.
Yeah.
My bed, and I had a 13-inch black and white TV, and that's all that was left.
She took your clothes?
Everything.
Wow.
Everything. And so when she, when we came home and found the house like that, Daddy just said, help me move your bed. So we moved my bed into his room, and that became our bed until he bought another one. But he said, I'm going to bed. And he laid down, and I took that 13-inch TV out of my room, and I went and plugged it in. I'm sitting on a bare floor, and I plugged it in, and I'm watching the election results that night. And when they called the race for Reagan, I looked around and I was like, yes.
It was a blowout.
Yeah, it was a blowout. Yeah. But I was like, yes, because I knew my family, they were Democrats, but listen, things were so bad in 1980. We had something called the misery index.
That's right.
We had to have an index to measure how miserable people were.
Yeah.
And when Reagan was like, hey, there's a new day, what was his slogan again? Make America Great Again, I believe it was.
That's right.
And,
Morning in America.
It's Morning in America. I remember that TV ad, but when he won, and then I thought that was the greatest day ever. And I was 18 years old. I was legally allowed to vote. I wanted to work in politics from the time I was about 11.
Right.
And Daddy said no. He's like, no. He didn't know I volunteered for a couple of campaigns when I was a teenager that I just never told him about. But when you're old enough to vote, then you can work in politics and work in campaigns. And so I was 18 and in Texas, and I was going to vote for Clayton Williams for governor over Ann Richards.
Mm-hmm.
And I was scared to death to tell my dad. I was scared to death to tell him I was going to vote for a Republican. I was pretty sure that I would be excommunicated from the family.
Yeah.
And which none of that happened. But, it was... But like you, I actually quit identifying as a Republican about 20 years ago. Mm-hmm. And I've just simply stuck with I'm a conservative.
Yeah.
Now, most of the time we know where that lines me up. But yeah, same kind of thing.
Well, that was an extension of Southern Democrats,
Mm-hmm.
your father and your grandfather.
Yes.
That, most of the South was Democrats.
Well, and they were also, my family they were pro-labor. They were involved in labor unions. And even though Ronald Reagan did receive the endorsement of the AFL-CIO in 1980.
Yeah. Which was unheard of at the time.
And it's unheard of still.
Yeah.
But man, things were bad. We can talk about COVID and how things got during certain presidencies and time periods, but until you've had to sit in line for gas and then get 2 cars from the pump and have them come out and say, out of gas, sorry.
Yeah, when you have
in the Vietnam era,
I wasn't here then.
Well, it was post.
Yeah.
But yeah. Ooh.
Yeah.
I had my mother was from a big family just north of Austin, and I had a couple of uncles that were county judges in different counties in Texas. They voted for Reagan. They couldn't tell anybody.
No.
But they voted for Reagan.
Yeah. And that was I think
there was a lot of people like that.
My grandfather went to the grave believing my dad never voted for a Republican. and that wasn't true. But I told you before we started, Boomer, my grandfather told me one time, I asked him, I said, Papa, you mean to tell me you've never voted for one Republican? He said, one time. And I hope the Lord can forgive me. He said, I voted for Richard Nixon over John F. Kennedy because I didn't want a Catholic in the White House.
Didn't want a Catholic.
And that's a lot of Southern Democrats.
Deal.
That was a big thing to them.
It was a big deal. And, me coming from South Louisiana, and even though I wasn't a Catholic, Catholics main.
You were a minority.
Yeah. And I couldn't understand, even as a young boy, I couldn't understand why they didn't want him because he's a Catholic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They didn't want the Vatican telling us what to do.
Yeah. The Vatican didn't want the Pope.
Yeah. Didn't want
dictating
the Pope.
What the United States was going to do.
Exactly. And that, so, it's, it was just the way they thought. It was the way they thought. And, but yeah, he did end up voting for another Republican at one point in life, because I had a cousin who ran for what we would call a JP here. It was county commissioner in Texas. And,
so family.
Yeah,
kind of Trump.
Family Trump party.
And, well, barely.
Yeah.
Because Papa was pretty adamant right up until Election Day. I don't know. I feel like I have faith that the Lord has washed that sin away of me voting for a Republican that one time. I'm not sure I'm willing to test him again, So.
'Cause it was Richard Nixon.
Yeah. But he did end up voting for my cousin. And who won and served many years on the county commission. But Daddy was the same way, he for lots of years, man. and the reason they call them yellow dog Democrats is because the old saying was they would vote for a yellow dog before they would vote for a Republican.
That's
you know,
right.
I'm looking forward to having Mike Ross here. I'm really interested to get his take on politics in general.
Yeah,
and what transpired, especially in his party, how he went from being one of the most powerful and influential congressmen in Washington D.C. to just being literally shoved in a corner and told, when we need you, we'll let you know.
Yeah, we'll come get you.
It's like a train. It's an ongoing train wreck with some of the people they're electing that I don't think will be electable even in some of the states like Wisconsin and Michigan. So it's like, are they going to continue down that path, or are they going to come back to try to be more reasonable?
You know, and again, every country has their propaganda. And we were talking about the World Cup earlier. People thought about Americans, and but we actually saw the footage of them waiting in snowstorms for toilet paper.
That's right.
They would wait in line.
That's right.
For days at a time for toilet paper. That's communism at its best. The problem with communism for me is once you take control, you are now responsible for these people. You have to feed them.
Yeah. Nobody's that smart. No, I mean, if the government took control of everything, let's say we had dictator and then they decide they're going to run Walmart and all these other, they're not
smart enough.
They would destroy it
in a matter of moments.
It would be like in a short amount of time, there wouldn't be anything on the shelves because they're not that smart.
They can't do it. And first
look
of all,
at anything the government does now.
They destroy it.
Yeah, look at the VA. How about that?
Look at Social Security.
Security.
There's literally no money there.
Yeah.
I mean,
that was mine.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That we've all paid.
Medicare.
Yes.
Yeah.
And go on and on and on.
Yeah.
And I remember back in the 80s, they like, that's great. Do you want to run like the post office?
Exactly.
Yeah. Now, I don't have a problem with the post office, but maybe it's because we have a great post office.
I think they do it. I think they do a good job for what they do, but the way things are changing, the part of the problem is you have congressmen that have all these post offices in all these little towns, and they control whether it opens or closes. So you have too many people involved. Whereas maybe you don't need some of those to exist.
Here's what kills me. So when the Cold War ends, and again, for those who think communism, socialism is a great thing, man, just go back and just read the newspapers from the 80s.
That's right.
It was a very literal, very high probability that we were going to not make it to adulthood.
That's right.
We really believed every day this could be the day when the Russians launch and we launch, and that's game over. It's the end.
Yeah.
But Cold War ends, and so what do? Let's start shutting down bases. Hundreds of thousands of jobs. Right. I mean, Minden has really, in my opinion, never recovered.
No.
Dorleen. Yeah, Dorleen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Doy what? Exactly. That's though some of those places have never recovered, and it was all based on which congressmen and senators were the strongest.
When they shut that ammunition plant down.
Yeah, when they started shutting plants down. So we do that, but yet we keep Saturday mail delivery.
Yeah.
That's what I don't understand is, I mean, business-wise, things pretty much operate on a 5-day-a-week schedule. There's no need to do it Saturday. I mean, that you could cut costs just by doing that. No one's gonna... It's not going to affect anybody or business or anything by
not having Saturday
delivery. But even something as simple as that, I don't think the Postal Service has those. I don't think they have the power to make that decision.
Right,
is part of the problem.
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand why we're debating daylight savings time, but we're no longer debating Saturday mail delivery.
That's right.
I don't. Matter of fact, why are we even having 5-day-a-week delivery?
I think you could live on 3 days a week, and I
do.
don't think
Monday, Wednesday, Friday,
and I don't think you just get more mail on those days, and I think everything would be fine. But you could cut the cost by 40%.
I think you could also find a lot less mistakes. Because there's not a rush to get that out before that carrier hits the route every day.
That's right.
You got a full day.
So there's lots of reasons
Well,
and that's simple.
It seems like it should be.
How come we can think of that? But
our government was designed to go slow.
Yeah. I have no problem with that
on changing things. But anyway,
I just got through listening to a book by John Kennedy. It's called "How to Test Negative for Stupid and Why Washington Never Will."
Yeah,
and he, of course, the book's hilarious. And it's as you expected it would be. But Senator Kennedy is like, the one thing that shocked me when I got to the Senate was just how slow things. He said, and it should move slowly.
Decisions like we have to make,
less likely to make bad decisions.
Yeah, that's right. So, I think one of the greatest things Bill Clinton ever did as president was convincing Congress not to tax the internet. That was I think it was a 20-year moratorium.
Remember the commercials when the internet should be free. Basically, everything on the internet should be free. So,
yes,
of course that went away.
Someone had told me one time back in 2015, the ad agency I owned, we got hired by the Trump campaign to do some work for them in Northeast Louisiana for the primary, which by the time the primary come along, he was by far the clear cut,
right,
nominee. But he still paid me. But someone was saying, well, Trump's not a conservative. I said, okay, stop. Name me the last conservative we've had. I said, let's just go back. I said, okay, Obama, certainly not, Bush 43.
No,
not even close. Bill Clinton, there's some validity there, There, I mean, not everything, but he had a lot of conservative ideals.
He's way more conservative than his wife.
Bingo for that. Yeah.
Oh my word.
And then I was like, George H.W. Bush, McCain, Romney. No. Sorry, Dole.
Yeah.
No. I mean, so those are the, so we got to go all the way back to Ronaldus Magnus. We got to go all the way back to Ronald Reagan. We got to go 45 years behind us.
And he wasn't, he wasn't a super,
he ended up becoming the father of modern day conservatism.
Yeah, he compromised on immigration, which he said is the biggest mistake he ever made.
I think he said it was second biggest mistake.
Okay.
The biggest mistake he said he made was not controlling spending.
Yeah.
Defense spending went through the roof. But again, what do you do when the people who are your sworn enemy stand up and say,
it was a different world.
We will annihilate you.
It was a different world.
And you were always at the whim of whoever the latest dictator was in the Soviet Union. And you remember there was a little period there in the 80s where they went through like 4 in a year.
That's right.
And then Gorbachev come along.
There was after the wall, there was a lot of uncertainty because there were nukes in Ukraine, that Ukraine.
Yeah, now they're in those,
and there was the other countries they controlled, there was uncertainty as far as what was going to happen.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
whose hands are they in now?
It wasn't cut and dry.
In the Eastern Bloc, the Czechoslovakias, which doesn't even exist anymore, but those places. Who's in control of those nukes now? That was the biggest thing. Now, the first thing we found out, though, is they drained all the diesel off of them because they didn't have any fuel. So they drained all the diesel off those rockets, and they used it in running around their countries. Yeah. But thankfully, there were people smart enough to say, "Hey, we know where every nuke is. Let's be sure we keep up with that." And so far, I guess they have.
And we all went to school at a time where we went through drills of getting under your desk, like that was going to do you a lot of good.
That's the only way you could be saved.
Peace of mind is on the
nuclear bomb hits your city.
Yeah,
and when I was in elementary, we were in Arlington, Texas, so we'd have been more likely to be hit there than in West Monroe. But
yeah, I was in Houston, Space Command.
Yeah. So you're going to be on the list.
We knew we were the first ones out. So
you'd be vaporized under your desk.
We would never know
if you'd been sitting in it same.
It wouldn't matter.
I think it was just to make you. It's kind of like the mask. It's just to make you feel better.
Yes,
or the double mask. Don't make it out of your jeans.
I still see people wearing masks,
driving by themselves in their car.
This happened to me just the other day. I needed to get. I was a pallbearer at Uncle Mason's funeral, and they asked us to wear a certain thing, and so I went to Bell's to go see if they had what I was looking for, and I pulled up in park, and a lady gets out of her car by herself with a mask, And I'm like,
it's just a comfort thing.
I guess it has to be. And matter of fact, not very comfortable.
Yeah.
But
well, a part of it is they've been conditioned to believe that it helps when it doesn't.
Well, here's what I love: the ones wearing masks and then they wear it below their nose.
Yeah.
How much sense does that make?
You'd see that all the time in Brookshire's or Walmart.
Yes. Yeah. While they have their mask on, but their cell phone out on speaker, and
talking loud,
and during all that time, like at our business, we EDP Solutions, Eldorado Printing, we never wore masks. We never wore anything. We never made anybody. If you came in without one, that was fine. If you came in with one, that was fine. Because I believe freedom. I believe people should be able to choose. But when I went to Walmart or Brookshire's during any of that time, I never wore one. Just because
my daughter wouldn't either.
I knew, I knew that it was not true.
It's not going to help you.
No,
it's not going to help you,
and it's not stopping anything. So it's just
I think the favorite one was the guy who lit a cigarette and took a puff and went.
Or they have the band members with it ripped open.
Yeah. Or you had to wear a mask in a restaurant, but you could take it off as soon as your drink got there.
Exactly.
Yeah. So because it knew when the drink came. COVID knew it couldn't.
All that COVID would stop.
It would stop right then.
Once you sat down, it was not communicable anymore.
I think one of the most ironic statistics that came out during all that are the people who were least likely to get COVID were smokers. Smokers were least likely to get COVID over anyone. And that was just, I'm still convinced that my wife had one of the first cases. In November of 19, we had His Royal Highness, the baby. And
before anything really started.
Yeah, just a couple of weeks later, she developed this cough and pain in her chest and blah, blah, blah. And they were doing all these x-rays and tests, and they came back and said, we think it's pleurisy. And so it was, I still believe, because neither she nor I ever contracted.
So how did they treat it?
They didn't.
So they didn't give like a Z-Pack or anything?
I think there maybe was some,
which was one of the things that supposedly worked. So, or helped.
But neither of us ever contracted it.
Yeah.
And neither of us ever took a jab.
Yeah.
And
my secretary, she and her husband had a lady from their church who was elderly and had fallen and couldn't get up. And he went into her house, picked her up, took her to the hospital. He and his wife, my secretary, got sick. She brought it to the office. I got sick. And this was in 19. And I took it home to Martha. And we were driving to Sam's in Monroe. And I was coughing up a storm. And that's when she got it. And we thought we were going to die for a week.
Yeah.
And our doctor, I said, what do we take? He said, well, just over to the counter and said, I'm going to call you in a Z-Pack. And we got it twice.
But you also took the vaccine.
We took the vaccine after the first time. Well, there wasn't a vaccine when we took it the first time.
And I'm not trying to ridicule you whatsoever, please. I'm trying to understand.
Yeah.
You've had COVID.
Yeah.
Why did you take the vaccine?
Yeah. Because we were told to.
Well, that's the thing. So I went to nursing school. Anybody's been to medical school. This has been known for over 100 years that if you've contracted something, then you have a natural immunity.
You now have you're immune.
You wouldn't need a vaccine. So I knew they were lying to people when they were saying you still need to take it even if you've had it. So I knew they were lying just on that alone, which made me not trust them.
I have such a natural distrust for the government anyway.
But it's so it just
and I sure wasn't going to believe them in an emergency situation.
No. So
where people were just blindly saying, "Yeah, whatever you say."
I didn't do it like that.
Yeah, no, and I'm not. And again, I'm not singling. I'm really, because it was one of the things when I had not contracted, and I had to go. My dad died alone.
Yeah.
He died alone.
Well, and see, that's
because you couldn't go in there.
I couldn't go in there.
So to me, that's criminal.
What
they
did, Fauci should be in prison for that alone. And what he did to families for not being able to see the loved ones in nursing homes.
At the end.
Him
life.
and the people making those decisions and basically lying, they should all be in prison for
Well, my daughter, the nurse who was working for a doctor at the time in a clinic, didn't take the shot and never got it. And, before they knew what it was, she was encountering people every day.
Yeah.
She was the intake nurse.
Yeah. And
never got it.
Daddy had to die by himself.
Yeah.
And I just remember thinking, whatever I have to do that my kids never have to see me look like that.
Yeah.
And I came home after giving them permission to pull the plug. And I told my wife, I said, I think I'm going to take the vaccine. And she's like, okay, if that's what you want to do. And she never said another word about it. And I never did. And she asked me about it later. She said, you never did. And I was like, no, I said, I was emotional.
Yeah.
And all I knew was I just never wanted my kids to see me how I had to see him. Yeah. And that was horrible.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that I'll never, ever.
Oh, I'm sure you'll never get over it.
And then to know that, basically he died alone.
Yeah.
What's most people, especially older people, what's their biggest fear?
Dying alone.
I'll die alone and nobody will know. And I'll be laid up here for 3 or 4 days, that kind of thing.
Yeah. The cat will eat my fingers.
Right. And my dad had to die alone. Yeah. And that's just. And
there's millions or.
Yes.
Millions and millions worldwide that were put through the same thing.
And it's and it wasn't just that I lost my dad. I lost my absolute best friend in the world.
Yeah.
But you know what is so disheartening and so maddening for the masses is that the government finds out things and no one is ever held accountable. We don't ever see someone held accountable or sometimes go to jail, but as far as some convictions, and we just don't see it. And that's just so maddening to the common man.
It really is.
And that's one of, some people believe that this country will always be here and it could never dissolve or break apart, which I think it can. When you have unequal justice, when there's different people, different classes, or different people are treated differently depending on their connections or their status, that's not right, and it shouldn't be.
And you're absolutely right. I personally have benefited from connections in the past. Again, you don't work for a U.S. president,
but as far as being held accountable,
but right
when
had you done something wrong, you'd have been held accountable.
Yeah, I would have been the poster child.
Yeah,
who was the only conviction out of that scandal? Sandy Sanford.
But it shouldn't. Whether you're worth $10 billion or you're just Joe Blow, and you should be treated the same. If you break the law, you should be treated the same.
Yeah, the problem becomes is that the guy who's worth billions of dollars can hire a much better legal team.
Well, exactly.
And that's
and sometimes that's the reason, but that's not. We all know that's not always the reason.
That's not always the case, right? I mean, the Menendez brothers, how many years are they in prison now? They had plenty of money.
Yeah.
But I think about you think about the way that the justice system works, and I told this statistic to Boomer the other day. The American Defense Attorneys Association and the Department of Justice did a joint study of the number of people who are in prison today. They did like 53,000 case studies of they went and took the case files of people who are in prison today. How many of them would not be in prison had they just stopped and asked for a lawyer? You want to take a guess at the percentage of that?
30%?
85.
Wow.
85% of people who are in prison today, they incriminated themselves in the interview.
Yeah.
And, so we catch a little crap from time to time because I tell our viewers, do not ever blow in the intoxilizer machine for any reason.
Yeah.
Don't do it. And you should never take field sobriety tests. And
we
you're going to go to jail.
Just let them do the blood test.
No,
don't take that.
Don't do that either.
Yeah.
Don't ever, and Boomer said that. He said, well, they'll just do a blood test, not without my permission. You can't jab me with a needle, without my permission.
I see both sides of it. So if you haven't been drinking and you're sober and everything, then did you
use mouthwash?
Well, no, I'm just saying for a blood test, not
I
the
got you for a blood test.
So you prove yourself innocent versus if you don't do it, they can say, well, you just didn't take it, but you know,
but you can't be guilty of DWI.
Even though they won't have, may not have evidence, they can.
You're going to have a suspended license, but my contingency has always been a suspended license is much easier to overcome and to regain as opposed to a revoked license.
Yeah.
And that's different.
Right. But some of that comes down to, the more educated or the more intelligent you are related to law and things, the more likely you are.
I watch these videos of these things all the time.
Roadside
stops, and sometimes it's from the police perspective, sometimes it's from the pedestrian or the citizen's perspective, and I'm like, don't answer that question.
Well, and I've seen it from both sides. I've seen it to where they're right the way they were asking, but then I've also seen it to where they're just being belligerent to the police. And disrespectful. And they shouldn't do that.
No, you shouldn't do that. And that has always been my thing. Comply. Comply. Yeah. If they ask you for your license, you give it to them. If they ask you to step out of the vehicle, you get out.
Where are you coming from? You don't have to answer.
You don't have to answer that.
That's right.
You don't have to answer questions. Right. And that's the biggest thing.
Well, that's what I mean is people don't know that they don't have to.
Right. And listen, the Supreme Court has said it is okay for the police to lie to you. It is okay. It is perfectly acceptable.
And see. I mean, it may be okay, but it's still.
It doesn't make it.
It's not ethical, in my opinion. So
well, and if they say, "Well, you look nervous," what's going on?
I'm not used to being stopped by the cops, but
exactly. That's everybody's nervous when they're stopped by the cops. Yeah. But most of the time, the lawyer will say, "Don't answer that at all." Said, "Well, I'm nervous." Well, then they can write that in your report.
That's exactly right.
He appeared nervous. Yeah. Wouldn't look at, avoided eye contact. Was fidgety.
I'm going to look at you. I'm going to say yes, sir, yes, ma'am, no, sir, no, ma'am, whatever the case is. And if you're going to ask me for my license, you're going to ask me to get out. I'm going to do all those things. Yeah. The compliance stops, however, when you try to interrogate me or you ask me questions. Yeah. Then I'm no longer going to play along.
Excuse me.
I had two FBI agents walk in my office one time. Said, "We want to talk to you." I was like, "Great, have a seat." And they sat down. And while one of them's an older guy, good cop, bad cop, I picked up on that right away. Older guy's good cop, young hothead is bad cop. And young guy gets out a manila folder and he slides it across the desk in front of me. And I just leave it sitting there. And so he keeps looking at it. And I was like, "What's that?" He said, "You can open it up." I said, "Oh, no, I'm not opening it up. You're not going to get my fingerprints on that file folder. No." And so he opens it up and there's a photo of me handing an envelope that I knew was full of cash to a guy. And he said, "What's in the envelope?" I said, "Thank you, gentlemen. Thank y'all for coming by." And I stood up and the young hothead guy said, "Sit your ass back down." I was like, "First of all, you're in my office.
That's right.
You don't get to talk to me like that. Secondly, you said you wanted to have a talk. You didn't say an interrogation. Mm-hmm. The first time you asked me a question, it's an interrogation. I will have my attorney call you and we will set up a time." And we did. And, it was made out to be much more of an ado
You're
than it
buying
was.
a four-wheeler or buying a vehicle.
Right. That's not what happened at all. But the guy whom I was handing the money to was under federal indictment. That was the biggest thing. That was what their concern was.
Well, that's part of my. It's like if you say if you had $20,000 cash on you and they pull you over, automatically.
Yeah.
Automatically, unless you're Somalian and in Minnesota,
you're okay. That may be your best line of this entire podcast.
Unless you're Somalian in Minnesota flying out of Minneapolis airport to Somalia or Kenya.
Yeah.
You're a criminal.
You're a criminal for having that much money.
So I sold some property and we just had this discussion. That's why I looked at Jax when you said that. I sold some property to someone and the first payment they made to me was all cash. Mm-hmm. $50,000.
Wow.
And I have a bag with $50,000 in it, right? I told Jack, I said, "I've never driven 55. I'm not 55 and a half, not 55 and a quarter.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's a full 3-second stop at every stop sign."
Sir, why are you driving a speed limit?
Because automatically, I mean, even if you had all your documentation, automatically
you got $50,000 in cash.
They would assume it's a drug deal.
It's a civil forfeiture right there on the side of the highway.
They take it.
Yes.
When it's U.S. currency and it shouldn't be an issue, you shouldn't be presumed guilty and they shouldn't be able to take your. That's one of the problems. That's one of the problems I have with that. They shouldn't be able to take your property without due process.
And of course, the argument is, but the drug dealers, okay. Well, then get them the right way. Don't listen?
If they have drugs in the car and guns and okay, it's drug money.
Obviously, there's a huge debate going on in America right now over flock cameras, and I went and met with the police department and put them on camera and had them explain to me from their side. I didn't take a side. All I said was at the end, if they do not have a policy in place for use of the flock cameras and who can go view them, my suggestion would be stop using them until you have a policy in place. Just from a liability standpoint, stop using them. And we know that there are plenty of instances around America where they're misused. I mean, I saw today there were 20 different officers who were arrested. And I don't remember what big city, maybe Atlanta, but 20 different officers who were arrested for the misuse of flock cameras.
I read an article a week or two ago, and they were using it to follow women around that they were interested in or dating.
That was these guys.
Yeah, so it's like, if you don't have policies against all that and limitations, then that kind of stuff's going to happen.
Yeah, exactly. It's human nature.
Yeah, like we would have been with our cell phones when we were teenagers.
We were teenagers, right? Yeah. And so, you have to have certain policies, procedures, and sometimes even watchdogs in place.
That's right.
To mitigate those instances.
You have to think about things that haven't happened yet.
Right.
And try to prevent them and try to prevent the misuse.
I believe that Chief Roberts, whom everyone knows, and I've disclosed, is a close personal friend of mine. He and his wife, me and my wife, we go out to eat. We're friends. I think Ricky could save himself a lot of drama and criticism if he had a citizen group or a committee that's not made up of just police officers, but maybe a citizen group whom overall was in charge of the books on those flock cameras,
right?
Who overall had some oversight, into that. And it may be that they get a daily email of every time it was accessed and by whom, and
that's the other thing. I mean, there's things that I don't understand about them. Is there's local flock cameras, and then there's ones controlled by the state, and when the state, some of the state one came out about the flock cameras is about last year. I emailed and contacted certain people, and because I was concerned about it, and as far as politically, and I was
and you were told to shut up.
I was just ignored.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what you get the most?
I'm just concerned about.
So you do want people who abduct children to get away with it, then?
No. So I want those people to be caught, but also don't want people's rights violated.
Yeah.
So, again, it
just
goes
because you drove by somewhere.
Yeah.
Hey, incidentally, let's be very clear. The Patriot Act was not written overnight. Okay, we didn't have September 11th, and then by the 13th, the Patriot Act just appeared. That had been written again and again and added to over decades.
Yeah, that's a whole nother rabbit hole.
That's That's was sitting in someone's drawer waiting for the opportunity.
Well, and of course, what I believe, and I'm not going to get into the details, but what I believed about what happened that day, and then what I believe now are two different things. I'm not going to get into it, but there's reasons why, because I was skeptical about conspiracy theories, and I am somewhat, but
I tell them all the time, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I am a conspiracy theorist. But I will listen to
it. Just like remember flight TWA flight 800, and it was shot down by a missile.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was an accident or I don't know if it was a terrorist.
It was shot down.
It was shot down by a missile.
It was still shot down.
People saw it.
Was that the one over Aberdeen, Scotland?
It was the one over New Jersey or somewhere in the Northeast.
Yeah.
But
there's also the one over Aberdeen.
Yeah.
That everyone who reported it at the time ended up dead.
Yeah. And
mysteriously.
People saw in video of a rocket going up to the plane, but So like I said, it could have easily been an accident from our government military, or it could have been a terrorist. But
now the plane that went down in the field in Pennsylvania, do you believe the passengers took that plane down?
yeah,
you don't have to get into it.
I don't know. I mean,
I don't either.
I don't know enough.
It is hard for me.
I want to believe that.
I do too.
But I really don't. And
it's hard because it goes against your natural instincts to know we're going to take this plane down and we're not just going to kill ourselves. We're going to kill everybody.
Yeah.
And,
and at the time, no one ever thought that someone would hijack a plane to fly it into something either.
Right. Up to that point, every hijacking had been flies to Cuba.
That's right.
Let El Zamir Zabib go from out of prison.
Guantanamo.
And then, from Guantanamo.
I guess another part of the whole thing is, if a plane did hit the Pentagon, how come there's no video that actually? I mean, there's cameras and video around there. How come? I've never seen a video.
I think I have seen a video.
See, I haven't.
I think I have seen a video.
I mean, this is
like the results.
There's like a flash, but I've never seen literally a plane coming in, from a distance. Because I know there's cameras. Even back then, there was cameras all over the place.
Yeah,
but
yeah, man, I was in DC.
So it's like there's just so many unknowns. I don't really know, but
You can't pick your nose in DC without somebody seeing it.
Everybody sees it, and everybody knows. Strange thing happened to me when I was in DC. I'd been at Congress all day, and when I say all day, I mean we would start off sometimes at 7 that morning, and I'd get back to my hotel at 10 that night.
Wow,
it was brutal. And I come into my room my last night in DC, and there's a Congressional Medal of Honor sitting up on my chest of drawers, and I'm like, I'm not touching that. I don't know if the maid found it under the bed or what, but I'm not touching it, because I'm pretty sure there's going to be some kind of law against possessing a Congressional Medal of Honor if you didn't earn it,
right.
And, but then in your head, I think about, again, you work for Karl Rove, you work for George W. Bush, you develop some enemies, and they're not who you would think either. Sometimes they're from within your own group. And, it crossed my mind. I mean, is this a setup? I mean, why is there a Congressional Medal of Honor in my hotel room? I don't understand. And, I also know that there's, you can pin that on and you can get in places that you can't get anywhere else in DC. And I'm just thinking, man, that sounds like a quick trip to Guantanamo to me. So
did you figure it out?
No, never did.
Wow.
Never did.
Did you leave it there?
I certainly did.
Didn't touch that?
Never, ever touched it. And, but again, you're walking around DC and Boomer's heard this story. I was there and I'd been there for 4 days and I've seen zero of DC. I've seen the Potomac when we were coming into Reagan, and I've seen the inside of a cab, and I've seen the inside of a boardroom for 4 solid days, man. Wow. And it's been brutal. So this last day I'm in DC, I get through, I'm testified to Congress, I've done all that. I went and met with Mike Ross, I went and met with Blanche Lincoln, and I was like, okay, I'm going to see some DC. I'm flying out tomorrow. Yep. I'm going to see. So I just take off walking because, in DC, everything looks like it's right there. That's a lie from the devil.
Like Vegas.
Yeah, it is not right there. So I take off walking and it starts a gully washer. It's just pouring down. I don't care. I'm walking in my suit. I'm in a suit and I'm walking. I don't care. My shoes filled up with water and now the leathers give on them. And so now they're sloshing. I've worn blisters on my feet. I don't care. Yeah. I'm still going to see some DC. Yeah. And so I get down to this intersection and I look and there's a park bench right there. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to go sit on that park bench. It was starting to ease up on the rain a little bit. And I went in there, I took my shoes off and my socks. I'm literally sitting there wringing them out and the rain stopped and the sun came out. Kent, let me tell you, when the sun comes out, the nut jobs come out. I realized at that point, I'm right behind the White House. Right. The portico and behind the White House, there's a park.
Where the old Navy building.
Yes.
Yeah, where the Washington Monument is.
Well, the Washington Monument is if you're looking at the White House from here, it's there.
Way.
Okay. And but it's a little park right there. And I'm sitting on this bench, I'm wringing my socks out, and the sun comes out, and these guys run up, and they're like from me to Boomer, and they're Libyans, and they throw a flag over them. It's like, I was like, okay, let me get up and move. So I get my shoes all back on, and I'm slosh, and I walk past them, and this guy jumps out. Now, I'm pro-life, but this guy is really pro-life. I mean, he jumps out. He has a fetus in his hand. This was once a life. And I'm like, let me keep walking. And I go down, and then there's some skinheads, and they're throwing all these racial slurs at the White House. And, and Obama wasn't even there. He was in Europe or something, and so I'm like, let me keep walking. And there's a group of older people, and I think, well, they look kind of normal. So I'm going to grab that bench right there. And I get down there, and it's a group of feminist or lesbian militants from Florida, and they're there and they're screaming all kinds of stuff. And I was like, let me just keep walking, man. And I was like, I don't belong here. Two things I figured out. One, I don't belong in DC. And two, there's never a recession in DC.
Oh, no.
Because that's where all the money at.
There's more cranes in DC than anywhere else in the United States.
There is never a recession in Washington, DC.
No,
it's amazing.
Money. Yep.
But, well, I won't get into that. I'm just going to say, you pick up at times when you see the same person 2 or 3 times in a day in a city like Washington, D.C., you realize you're being followed.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I had a couple of those instances,
Wow.
And I love to stop and look in a window at something and see somebody across the street from me that I saw 3 blocks ago.
Right.
And
so did you make it to Mount Vernon?
Did not.
Have you ever been there?
No.
You got to go.
That's what I hear.
It is. I mean, it will blow your mind.
The interesting thing I did find out about Mount Vernon, this came from Tom Cotton's book called Sacred.
Mm-hmm.
And Tom's book, he first thing he says is, if you pick this up hoping I'm railing against liberals and Democrats, you picked up the wrong book. It is simply about the old guard and the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, which he was one of the ones who guarded, And but what I never realized until his book was George Washington didn't own that. That was Martha Washington. It was her first husband who built Mount Vernon.
She was very wealthy.
Yes.
Yeah.
He met her. Her husband was killed in the French Indian War.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, in their museums there's paintings of them when they're in their late 20s. So he met her when they were young. What we always see is the old pictures.
Yeah.
But no, they were young when they met. And she was like,
she had a child.
She owned land in Ohio and Michigan territory. I mean, she owned lots of land.
Yeah.
So she was extremely wealthy.
Yeah. And she had a child, and George raised that child as his own.
Yeah.
Even though the child knew that George wasn't his father, but I always found that interesting since I've learned that George Washington, because we always think, well, that was George Washington's place. No, it was Martha's.
Yeah.
And originally it was Martha's husband's.
Yeah. But he married, what do you call it, marrying up?
Yeah, he married up. Kind of like me.
Time.
I did the same thing.
I did too.
You did.
Yeah.
You did.
100%. And you did too, of
Of
course.
course. Goes without saying.
We say all the time.
Anybody that wouldn't admit that's not very smart.
Not very bright. But we say that about Boomer said, if it wasn't for Martha, he wouldn't last a month. You hear me?
Yeah.
He wouldn't make it 30 days if Fru wasn't around. So
I wouldn't have half the clothes I have with.
I wouldn't have any clothes.
It's like she buys
the only thing I would have was this shirt that Sandy gave me.
Now I will say this: he'd probably be 35 pounds lighter because Martha can cook.
Yeah.
Martha can cook, man. I mean,
that's good.
I told him, I said, Boomer used to mow my yard, and there never wasn't a time where I thought anything special or ill about it. It mowed it, and he did a good job, I thought. But did
he fix your cars like the guy on the...
No, I didn't do it for free.
He didn't do
that.
There
was no internet.
But I can't remember anything specific, but I can tell you every time I've had Martha's gumbo.
Mm-hmm.
I can tell you every bite
gumbo.
about her gumbo.
All right, so you have to let me know next time.
She makes $100 a pot gumbo because she gets crab meat, oysters, shrimp.
Wow.
If I'm making seafood gumbo, that's what I'm going to do too. I listen. You know Sandy's hit a straight flush in the river or something. If we're going to have seafood gumbo, because I'm going to spend some money.
And that's part of the fun going to sports and going to LSU game. Is if you got LSU stuff on, you can walk up
and down.
You can walk up to a place and they're going to say, "Come get you some food."
Come get us gumbo.
Yeah. Y'all eat yet?
It's like
we went. My middle son Cam, for his 20th birthday, he said, Dad, I've never been to a college football game. I want to go to an LSU game. So we got tickets and we went, Cam, my wife, Jax, and I, and we went, and this was Coach O's last year there. And they were playing South Carolina, and it wasn't a good season for LSU.
Right, yeah, that was, yeah.
And, but we're there. And of course, my favorite part is I told him, I said, now look, this is Death Valley on a Saturday night. It's not the same.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. This is like Bourbon Street at night.
Yeah, that's right.
Your head's on a swivel. Okay. And of course it was COVID. So I don't think there was anybody within 80 feet of us.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they were only letting like 8,000 people in the stadium or something.
Right.
A stadium that'll hold 110,000, you know. But right at the end of the third quarter, somebody went to say something to me. I said, hold on a second. And I'm watching that clock. And as soon as it hit zeros, I pointed at the band. And I mean, it was singing like, bum, 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 bum. And man, I'll tell you, if you've never been to and you don't have to like LSU, but if you've never been to an LSU game on a Saturday night in Death Valley, you just don't understand.
Talk to any football player in the SEC that has ever, they'll say, I don't care if they're from Alabama or Georgia or Auburn. Yeah. They'll say it's just different.
Yes.
So my first game during high school, never went. Probably didn't have the money to go, but in the late '80s, I went with a buddy of mine, and they were playing Auburn, and we were in the south end zone. Tommy Hodson was the quarterback, and it was 3-0 the whole game until the last play of the game. Eddie Fuller caught a touchdown in the back of the end zone, and then that was the earthquake game.
Yeah,
it registered on the
and it was people didn't quit jumping up and down. I mean, and it was just a game. They weren't gonna win any national championship or anything, but people didn't quit jumping up and down.
No, late 80s, it would have been Curly Holman would have been the coach back then. They weren't going to win anything.
No, when they had they had the potential to have a really good team the year before. I think they won the SEC when they had a different running back, but it's just the place didn't quit shaking until everybody left the stadium.
Isn't that something?
So it just made a big impression.
So the first time I ever went to an LSU game, it was a Saturday night in Death Valley, and it was LSU playing Notre Dame. I've never seen so many Catholics.
Oh yeah, and of course most South Louisiana's Catholic.
Yes, and so man, I mean it was a wild atmosphere. I don't think I'd ever seen that many boobies in my life as I did at that game, and it was just different. I had never experienced football at that level. Yeah, and
we went in the '60s. Dad had season tickets when we'd go in the '60s and through high school, and it's just unbelievable.
It is, and so and listen, I've been to some great, awesome Razorback games.
Yeah,
and
I have too.
And and I matter of fact, my wife and I went to the Arkansas LSU game a couple 3 years ago in Fayetteville, and it snowed in November. And there was snow on the field, and it was like 19 degrees. It was cold.
So cold.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot you were at that game too. Yeah.
Just separately.
Yeah, just separately. You didn't go with us, but Mike and Sherry let us stay in their cabin, and so we went. And great game.
Yeah.
I remember we went to a Arkansas Ole Miss game in Little Rock when D-Mac was there, and I think he was a freshman. And I remember telling those guys, I'm like, that guy can win a Heisman. Yeah. I called football games in high school for the Booty Boys. I called games in high school for Cedric Benson, Cadillac Williams. So I've seen what
Cedric Benson played at Odessa Permian.
Yes.
Okay.
And
because they came and played West Monroe in the late '80s or sometime in the '90s, and I went to watch them play. So yeah.
And then Cadillac Williams, he played, I want to say, for Salina. And anyways, I did state championship games. And funny thing there is those games were always held at Texas Stadium. Well, some of the maybe like the 2A and the 4A and one of the 5A divisions would be at Texas Stadium. The other ones would be at what once was the Astrodome. And
that would have been the old Cowboy Stadium.
Yes, this was the old Cowboy Stadium. So here's what's funny. We get there. I have my parking pass. We get my equipment out. And in a game of that magnitude and that far from home, I would carry like 3 sets of equipment. And so me and my color commentator, Stanley Creech, we go into the stadium. They walk us right in. They said, okay, newspaper people, go over here with so-and-so. And we watch them walk down, and they're setting up in the press box. And man, it's nice. There's food everywhere, and there's cold beer, and it's just everything you can imagine. Right. And they said, all right, TV people, radio people, come with us. And we go with them, and they get us on this elevator, and doors open, and man, it's immaculate. TV people, you're right here. And again, there's food and chandeliers. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Radio people, we keep going. The elevator door opened, and it literally was a dark hallway with one string bulb light.
Wow.
In the middle of the hallway. And we get down there, we get down to the end of that hallway. Now the light's behind you. Okay. And so it's casting a shadow in front of you. You can't see a thing. And the guy who's leading us says, okay, everybody stop. And we stop. There's like 8 of us. And he shines a flashlight. There's literally a 2x6 across this chasm that you have to walk. Now, you're only going to take about 3 steps, but you got to walk 3 steps across this chasm that's like a 20-foot drop. And I get out, we get to our press box, and they're like, all right, KORI, you're right here. And so we go in there. It is a half of a trailer house. And it's got one heating vent in it, and it's in the ceiling behind you, and it's blowing at about 95 degrees, and it's sleeting coming in the top of Texas Stadium in the hole. And so the front of us were covered in sleet. The back of us are sweating. And I'm like, we're going to die of pneumonia before we get out of here, man. And you are so high up.
Make you feel important.
Yeah, the opposite of. We were so high up. We had to watch the game on the Jumbotron. We couldn't call the game. You couldn't see it.
Couldn't see it. You're so high.
You're so high up there.
You're above the Jumbotron.
Wow. Well, it was eye level. It was eye level with us. That's right.
Thank God for the Jumbotron, because there was a time when there wasn't a Jumbotron.
Else we'd been over here,
having your
binoculars out. And, but my whole point was being that I've seen some really good running backs who went on to, be in the NFL. And the very first time I saw Darren McFadden, I was like,
yeah, that's
no doubt.
That's the real deal.
He's going to go.
Well, remember his freshman year? I think, was it Houston Nutt was the coach?
Yeah, Houston was his coach the entire time.
They should have played. He should have been starting by the second or third game, and they didn't play him as much.
Right.
But he should have been playing a lot more.
Here's what I never understood. And I know there's the Houstondale Nutt fan club out there, and I hear from y'all every time I say anything that can even be conceived slightly negative about Houstondale Nutt. What I don't understand is you have Darren McFadden, Felix Jones, and Peyton Hillis. Why did you never line up in a wishbone one time?
Yeah.
One time.
It would have been like the Wildcat, that it would have been almost impossible to stop, because no defense knows how to defend.
How do you defend that?
Yeah, they wouldn't know how to. They're not used to it, so.
Because no one is willingly going to hit Peyton Hillis, by the way.
So as
big as D-Mac was and as fast as Felix was, the one guy that I saw more people step out of the way of was Peyton Hillis. Because he was just such a freight train, Yeah. So, how do you defend that? How do you defend? Of course, then there's the game that they lost to LSU, and they asked Nutt about it after the fact, and he was like, Jones, McFadden, Hillis, didn't have any 3 of them on the field. And he said, well, they were tired. I'm sorry.
No,
I'm sorry, guys.
No.
One of them has to be in that backfield. You have to keep the linebackers. You have to keep the linebackers honest.
And then there's the game that they beat LSU, and LSU goes on to win the national championship.
Triple overtime in Baton Rouge.
So they won, but LSU still gets in the championship game against Ohio State and wins.
Yeah.
So
that was the strength. I ran into Coach Saban out here at the airport one time, and I literally.
Who was he coming to see?
He was coming to see Byron Jones.
Okay.
Down at Junction.
Okay. Yeah.
And so I see him. I was like, Coach Saban, what do you? First thing surprised me is my height, but I was like, what are you doing here? And he's like, oh man, there's a kid down there at Junction, a big baby. They call him Big Baby Jones. He's down there. I said, get your ass back on that Alabama plane. Leave him alone. He said, man, he's not going to come to Alabama. He's not going to come to Alabama. He's going to go to LSU or Arkansas. He said, but Malzahn's been here 3 times. And he said, if that boy signs with Auburn and I never darken the doors, he said, they'll run me out of the state. He said, and that's that's Saban luck. He said that kid will sign at Auburn. He'll be an All-American. He'll be first overall draft pick. So I said, well, Coach, I have a question for you. He said, shoot, what you got? And I said, did Les Miles send you his championship ring? Because that was your team he won with. I'm not touching that. I'm not touching. Well, he's got his championship ring on. Yeah. I'm not touching that. Yeah. Like, I bet you're not.
He said the biggest mistake he ever made.
That's what he said.
LSU.
He did.
And
that dynasty he had at Alabama, he could have had that same one.
Yeah. You'll never hear. I mean, he's a very smart coach, but you'll never hear whoever they're playing. He's always going to talk about them like they're great.
Yeah, the best team
he
don't
want his
face.
players to take. Yeah. Because if you take anybody lightly, you can get beat.
Yeah.
So he's always respectful of whoever they're playing.
Except Vanderbilt.
Oh yeah. Well,
he said, hey, every stadium in the SEC is tough to play in, well, except Vanderbilt.
Right.
And then when Vanderbilt beat LSU this last year, that's I told Boomer before it happened. I said, it's one thing to lose this game or this game. I said,
Pavia is.
Coach Kelly better not lose. He better not lose to Vanderbilt, or that'll be his last game as the head coach.
I knew they were going to lose to them. That Pavia he's a really good quarterback.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, didn't he get cut though?
He did. He's
got an attitude.
Yeah, he's got an attitude. He's little too short. I mean, I think he's maybe 5.
Yeah, you got Doug Flutie,
5'8" or 5'9",
syndrome. So which again, I heard Jack say this just the other day. He said, "Man, if you could take Lucas Reed, his heart." Mm-hmm. And put in Taylor Reed's body, we would still be watching Lucas Reed playing on Sundays. Because he was so football smart.
Yeah,
and Taylor was just an absolute phenomenal athlete.
Yeah.
I mean, you could put him at any position; he was going to excel. Lucas was smart, and way the competitor,
and that makes a difference. I mean, you think of guys like that, Peyton Manning or Drew Brees, guys that are like coaches on the field.
Yeah, exactly. I always said if I could take Jax's baseball knowledge and heart and put in Cam's body, Jax would be playing in the majors still today. Because Jax was blessed with my height, and Cam's 6'3". Tell me life's fair. But yeah, I mean that was the thing is he's a little too short, and unfortunately, no, I'm talking about the Pavia. But unfortunately, there's some things that mechanics can't overcome.
That's right.
In football.
Yeah. And they'll say, a coach will tell you, says, we may make a mistake on heart, but we'll never make a mistake on size.
Yeah.
And they'll tell you that.
And your average lineman is 6'6".
Yes.
So
just you got to take every snap from the shotgun.
Yeah, just being able to see over them, even for a guy that's 6 foot, is difficult.
Yeah, it's going to be difficult. Yeah. That's right.
So answer me this: what's going on with the SEC? Going to maybe secede from the NCAA?
Well, that's been the discussion for a few years now.
It's been rumored.
Yeah,
and I get it from the SEC standpoint. I can see what they're saying is we make you all the money.
Why can't we control the money?
It would be the SEC and the Big Ten.
Yeah,
and the Big Ten. Yeah.
They'd have to take the Big Ten because the Big Ten has come along.
Yeah,
but the Big Ten couldn't have come along had it not been for the SEC's money.
But the problem is you could also kill the goose that laid the golden egg because even these smaller schools contribute to what is college football.
That overall fund,
So that's the danger of, and I think conferences like the SEC 16, if they get to 24, you're getting to a point to where there's too many teams.
Yes.
Well, so look at the coach that was at Arkansas, Muss. He wouldn't play. He's going to have to play a conference game in New Jersey.
Yeah.
From USC.
Yeah.
You've got to fly
that's nuts.
all day.
Yeah, that's nuts.
To go play a conference game, that's crazy. But look, we've known the inmates are running the asylum for quite some time. I still say to this day, the NIL in its current iteration is never going to work.
It's not sustainable.
It's never going to be. Joe Burrow's last year when they won the championship, that was the last year of real college football. It's pro now. It's never going to be the same, no matter what they do, because there's always going to be the money.
Yeah.
So it's never going to be like it was.
At the same time, there's no reason that a university should make millions, and I mean literally millions of dollars by selling a jersey with your name on it.
Well, yeah,
and that happened.
But now the players now are benefiting. The ones before.
That's what I'm saying. So we can't go back to what it was because that was totally unfair. But what it is not sustainable.
Yeah.
So there's got to be a happy medium.
But because there's legislation in Washington, but you have to get the Big Ten and SEC to go along, because if they bind the SEC and Big Ten to the point to where they're no different than
the ACC
or than Baylor or something, they'll never go along with it.
Right.
So
exactly.
Yeah. That's exactly. I mean, hey, if we're going by NIL money, Texas Tech should win a national championship this year.
Yeah. They spent a lot of money. That's right.
That's all. Well, I don't remember what the number was. $48 million on their football team alone.
And that's about what LSU has spent also.
Yeah.
But that's what.
But let's compare the level of player.
Oh yeah, that's true.
And let's go back and look at that.
That's what I don't like about it, is because it's not. It takes part of the fun out of it.
Yeah.
Well,
exactly.
it does if you're losing.
But it's still you're in some sense you're buying the championship at some point.
But now we can't pretend that it wasn't happening before. Not up front and on the level.
I mean, Alabama's been playing their players for a long time. It's just, of course, maybe not in the millions, but there's been compensation happening amongst a lot of teams under the table.
Well, I believe it was, and I could be wrong, I believe it was Felix Jones, that when Arkansas went to recruit him, his mom or his aunt or someone said, "There's a briefcase sitting right over there with $100,000 in it. That's what Auburn brought. What'd you bring?" Said the chance to go get a good education, and he ends up going to Arkansas after all. But
and that should be enough. But before this, there's players being bought.
My thing is the players need to be careful as well, because if you make yourself an employee, so you're going to pick up part of this flight. We're going to go play Ohio State.
Yeah,
how much of this flight you're going to pay for?
That's right.
And these meals.
But that's why, especially now, the scholarships are year to year. So if you're not, if you're not
producing,
or doesn't look like you're going to produce, well, then you're not going to be on that team the next year.
That's right.
They're going to go find somebody else.
They're going to find someone. That's right. Yeah. Kent, thank you so much for coming, man. We appreciate it.
It's great.
And really do appreciate you coming in. And maybe we'll get a chance to talk to you again before election season.
Okay, yeah.
And
I love that.
Of course, election night, we're going to be there live. We still have
I'll be there.
We still have confirmation from the Cotton campaign and the Schaffner campaign that they will come do a debate here in El Dorado, Arkansas.
That'd be great.
And as far as I can tell, it will be the only time in history that a U.S. Senate debate has happened in El Dorado, Arkansas.
That would be great. So we're tentatively, where with that?
Columbus Day, and I don't know where yet.
Okay, you're still working on it. Okay.
It will have to be a ticketed event.
Yeah,
and I'll catch a lot of crap for that. But what I can't do is I can't have 500 NRA members coming in and shouting Hallie Schaffner down, or 500 BLM members coming in and shouting Tom down.
Exactly.
So now if they buy a ticket, I don't care what they do. No, buy a ticket and you come in and act a fool, you'll go to jail.
Yeah. Well,
but
escort you out.
The right now the key is how much do we do? What all are we going to do? We won't just do that one debate, but do we do a couple? Do we do several? I don't know. And then the other thing is if we could get the governor to come, which I don't believe she will, but because we've not gotten any indication she's willing
to. You want Martha to call her because they're buds.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Well,
she and Martha are buds.
So, for example, I would think with the Senate debate, I'd love to have Rex Nelson ask the questions.
Yeah, that'd be great.
But Sarah certainly won't come if Rex is asking the questions. That's out.
Yeah.
That won't happen. Or Roby Brock. So those are the things that we're still working through and trying to consider. I hate more than anything this tension between Sarah Huckabee Sanders and Rex Nelson.
Yeah,
because it's
not good for the state.
It's not.
So is that? I'm not aware of the tension. I don't live in Little Rock, and I don't read the newspaper.
So Rex, of course, is the senior political column or editor for the Arkansas Democrat Gazette, and he's been very critical of the governor. And when he was on our podcast, I asked him flat out. I said, "Rex, is it personal?" And he said, "It can't be." He said, "I've known her since she was 10 years old."
Yeah.
You know, I think there's some familial relation there as well. I think somewhere in there, the Huckabees and the Nelsons are related,
right?
Probably distantly, but related. But his point was, if I were the sports editor and Arkansas had a new football coach, would you want me to tell you what I see and what I witness of this coach? Or would you want me just to paint sunshine and rainbows?
Yeah.
And I get it.
Yeah.
She does it. She's a lot like her dad in how she responds to criticism.
Yeah.
And, you know, I had that discussion with then Governor Mike Huckabee. I said, "Mike, you're thin skinned, man. You've got to shell some of that Baptist preacher off and be a little thicker skinned." And he got riled up at me. And I said, "See, that's what I'm talking about," you know? But he said, "You know, you're right. It is a thing." So she doesn't take the criticism well. Now, it's no secret that Rex has never been a fan of Donald Trump. And so that plays into it too. The nationalization of the parties, I think, has been one of the worst things that's ever happened.
Yeah.
Because there are people in Arkansas who, and I'm not saying she did this, if Sarah Huckabee Sanders went and smeared monkey feces on the Capitol, they wouldn't care because, well, that's Trump's girl.
Yeah.
If she's Trump's girl, then that's my girl.
Yeah.
That they would be people who would think that.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I get it from people all the time when they're like, "What kind of business?" "Oh, I'm in media business." "Oh, so you're liberal." Dude, you know, welcome to the 21st century.
Yeah.
You know, not every journalist and not every media entity is owned by Ted Turner.
Yeah.
You know, it's just not that. And, but you know, when you meet a trial lawyer, all of a sudden they funded every Democratic campaign that's ever been, you know,
and they're not all liberal,
and they're not all attorneys are liberal, and not all school teachers are, you know,
that's right.
And not every NRA member is a conservative.
That's right.
You know,
that's
I mean,
exactly right.
So it's just these labels that so easily get attached and thrown onto the different segments of our society, but the nationalization of the parties has been one of the worst things that's ever happened. And personally, I like when you have a race between a good conservative Democrat and a good moderate Republican, and they run and they're battling ideas, because sometimes the best ideas. Do you think if Bill Clinton hadn't been running against a wildly popular, when he first started, president, we would have ever heard about more police, welfare reform, you know,
No.
the crime bill?
No.
I mean, we wouldn't have heard of any of those things. Now, there were some other things that he did that did cater more to his liberal friends, but I'm telling you today that he did more for the Republican agenda than he ever did for the Democratic agenda.
But what the nationalization is, what's made it bad is not the liberals, but the media choosing sides. Like when Reagan was president, there was not a lot of editorial from the media. They
other
pretty
than
much,
Sam Donaldson.
Yeah. But for the most part, they were pretty fair both sides, and it's not that way anymore. And that's what makes it
and now,
so bad.
Now they wear it as a badge of honor.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, The View, they make no bones about it. They
consider themselves a reporter, but they're not. They're an advocate.
They're an advocate, exactly right. And look, Fox is just as guilty.
Yeah,
they're just as guilty. And it's why I tell people, I said, it's a lonely place out here with no party.
And that's part of the. I mean, I read articles, but as far as watching the news, I don't watch it.
I don't either.
I read articles. And I might watch a clip from something.
I might watch a clip, but
I'm not sitting there and watching it.
And they know this. I quit watching the news election night 2020.
Me too.
We were lied to.
Exactly.
We were lied to.
No,
that
exactly.
I mean, I just said then I'm done.
We know what happened,
I went to bed and Trump's up 70,000 votes in Michigan.
Yeah.
And y'all said, we're not going to count any more votes tonight. And I wake up and he's 70,000 down.
Yeah. So we 100% were lied to.
And he got more votes than Obama.
Yeah.
Well, and of course it's my contention that, you know, it was a mutually agreed thing.
Yes.
So everybody was in on it.
Everybody was in on it. I remember
because the Republicans were in the same room.
Oh,
when they
absolutely.
Decided?
Well,
absolutely.
I think the people that matter,
Okay.
The people who pulled the strings.
Not all of them, but the few people. Yeah, I believe. And
people love to throw names around. But Rockefellers but who I don't know.
Who knows? But I think the people that the people in control of each side. I think
I can tell you from my experience in politics, the people who really have power, you don't know their names.
Yeah,
of course.
So, I mean, don't get me wrong. The Koch brothers have plenty of power, right? They do. The Rockefellers have plenty of power. The Vanderbilts have plenty of power. But they aren't the ultimate say-sos. Yeah. And I've been in those meetings, in those rooms, and had to sign non-disclosure agreements before I could be let into the room because of some people who were going to be in there. And
which you still can't talk about today.
Cannot today. Yeah. Cannot. So. And messed around and said a little too much one day and got a reminder. Got a reminder of what I can and can't say. And so
almost like the mob.
Not almost. You almost
depends on which state.
Yeah.
I've read some Louisiana elections.
You ever watch Sopranos or Goodfellas? It's like
House of Cards.
Yeah, House of Cards. Yeah. That's man. Yeah. But it's the. I'm with you. I believe that was an across the board.
100%.
That we're gonna. This is how this is going to be.
That was a pre-concluded.
100%.
Really?
100%. Man, just like the January 6th where they had over 250 FBI agents embedded.
Yes.
Who were leading the charge. So it was all orchestrated. They had the articles written before that day ever came. They knew what they were going to say. The media knew what they were going to say.
I knew that.
And then of course they repeat the same talking points now. Like it really means something when if you have a brain, they're lying.
Or the 34 convictions. That's the one I like.
Yeah, 34 felonies.
And of course they thought in their own mind that we do all this stuff. No one would ever vote for. Well, but it's because it's fake. That's.
I
mean, when it's fake, then it means nothing to me.
Well, it solidifies us even more.
It's actually worse than that. It's actually. Yeah, it makes you more hardened in what you're.
And they say,
it's the opposite.
Those Trump people, they're for him because y'all are so against him.
Yeah,
it literally comes down to they are so for him because of the cabal that is against him.
Now, is he perfect? No.
No.
Is there things that if I was advising him, I would tell him to do different? Yeah. There's lots of things.
I'd take his phone away.
Lots of stuff.
Yeah, quit tweeting.
Quit tweeting at 11 o'clock.
And it's like
go to bed
and be nice, be cordial.
Yeah, you can't bump leaders of other countries out of the way, and stuff. But I have a rule at my house. Unless it's family, I don't text after about 9:30, 10 o'clock because there may have been. Somebody may have slipped something into my drink. I don't know.
Yeah.
But there could be a diminished capacity.
And you can't untext once you've texted. No. And anybody that's ever texted, well, I mean, there may be some little old church ladies, but most people have texted something that they
wish they could take back. Yeah. And so
I've written some and then erased them.
Yes, I've done that too.
You're very wise.
Yeah, I've stopped.
Yeah, you're very wise.
Yeah, but take his phone away from him. Yeah, be a little nicer. It's not going to hurt you. But he's also a New Yorker, and man, have you ever met a New Yorker?
He's a street brawler.
Yeah, I mean, it's just who they are.
Yeah, that's exactly
it's just like Cajuns. I mean, I said all the time, a Cajun can't tell you.
They'll be your friend, but if you want to fight them,
they're willing to fight.
They're going to fight you.
I'd say all the time, Cajuns can't tell you how many square feet this room is, but they can tell you how much gravy it'd take to cover it.
That's right.
That's right. That's New Yorkers. That's who they are. That's exactly it's just kind of it's built into their personalities. Right. And so I get it. I do. I think he's less than truthful about stuff. Oh, of course. Best ever. Some might say, some might say it was huge, and I get it.
Ever before.
He's a salesman in a sense.
And sometimes you should let other people praise you.
That's exactly right.
And, but for whatever reason, he feels the need to do that. And by gosh, you know what? To the victor go the spoils.
Yeah.
Listen, I hated more than anything after Barack Obama won the presidency, and there were people who were saying, not my president. I'm like, hey, wait.
Yeah, he is.
He most certainly is. And whether you like him or don't, there is a certain respect that goes with the office, if nothing else.
That's right.
And
Plus
that's
it's
why
biblical.
on the radio, for example, I would always refer to them as President Obama, President Bush, President Clinton, because they earned that.
That's right.
Now, did Ross Perot get in there and screw it up? Yes. But Bill Clinton took the oath of office.
It is what it is.
And when he took that oath of office, he became president.
No pun intended.
It is what it is. Yeah, when he took that oath of office, he became president.
That's right.
And at that point, there's a certain respect that goes with that office.
That's right.
Whether you agree with them or not.
And that's why you've got to go to Mount Vernon, because
I wish I'd have gone as an adult. I was 18 when I went all over, saw the tombs, and
this country wouldn't exist without that man.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, it would have never happened. If he'd have been killed during the revolution, it would have fallen apart.
Well, there was a huge conspiracy. So the old guard, which eventually became the third unit of the Army Rangers. And I didn't understand why the first actual Army unit, conscripted Army unit, is the third unit. Well, it was because one time Congress got it in their head, we don't need all these soldiers, so let's do away with some of the units, and they combined the first, second, and third, and then the person with the most seniority or the highest rank was the guy who was running the third, and that's why there's no first or second division.
Wow.
And I learned that from Tom Cotton's book.
Yeah, that's cool.
But anyway, that the old guard started when there was a legitimate plot to assassinate George Washington.
Wow.
And these are the guys that I think it was 6 of them to begin with, who surrounded him day and night and day. If he went to the outhouse, they stood around it.
Wow.
He was not allowed to go, and he kept telling them, "I'm not a prisoner." And they said, "No, but you are our commander.
Yeah. And
as long as you're our commander, we're going to keep you safe." And it was almost divine intervention that saved George Washington's life. And I'll find that I don't read a lot of books. I listen to a lot of audiobooks.
Yeah.
And I'll find that and I'll send it to you.
But where they're buried on Mount Vernon, on the grounds, it's maybe half a mile from the house. But they have an enclosed tomb, and their crypts are on top of the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Martha's and his, but above the building it says General George Washington, because he considered that a higher title than president.
His own mother didn't come to either of his inaugurations.
Really, I didn't know
she
that.
disagreed with his politics. That's the truth.
That's crazy.
Isn't that wild?
His own mother.
That is crazy.
And when they asked him something one time about votes, and they said, "Well, he'll always have one vote." His mom. He said, "No, she's told me she's not voting for me."
Wow.
Even stranger if you think about it. George Washington is not the first president of our country.
Right, there were others.
There were others prior to that when we were under the Articles of Confederacy.
That's correct.
But
almost nobody knows that.
Yeah,
I think there were like 11 or 12.
Yeah, and it was almost a constant coup.
Yeah,
it was. I mean, we really were like a banana republic.
Yeah.
At the time, it just whoever showed up to the office first that day, well, they're president today. And I don't think they called him president. I don't remember what the term was, but it wasn't prime minister, but something along those lines. Right. I mean, it was, and I read it the other day where the guy who was the first leader of America, and he had a name like Wilbur Nuffenbarger or something. It's like, no, you can't have a national leader named Nuffenbarger. Sorry. You can't have something that we would have made fun of in 4th grade.
Wow.
You can't have that kind of name. But Kent, thank you, man. Thank you for coming. We appreciate it very much. For all of our sponsors and for all of our viewers, all 4 of you, we appreciate you. For producer Jax being here with us today, we appreciate that. This has been Off the Back Porch. Have a great weekend. God bless.
With a history of being the voices you trust, this is Off the Back Porch.